Welcome to our opening night of Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Tonight, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game matches the LSU Tigers and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, the Tar Heels became front-page news because of rules violations and possible violations. 13 players were left back in Chapel Hill, including 7 defensive starters. 3 of their starting defensive linemen, the linebacking core intact, but the entire starting secondary decimated because of violations. So good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger with Kirk Herbstreit. And Kirk, give us an overview. What does this mean to the Tar Heel program here tonight?
Obviously, this is unprecedented. To have this happen this close to the season opening it has really put Butch Davis and his defense into a quandary. In fact, the entire team. You can see the defensive line is gone except for one guy. The entire secondary is gone. But not only that, you're also talking about an offense that lost their top 2 running backs, their primary go-to wide receivers. So it's going to take a great team effort, an us against the world type of mentality, and these younger players are just going to have to step up and rally around all this negativity swirling around the program.
Now, as for LSU, Kirk, a year ago the offense struggled somewhat. What about Jordan Jefferson, the returning quarterback, and this attack team?
I'm excited to see number 9 for LSU, Jordan Jefferson. This offense struggled last year, 112th in the nation as an offense. The reason is Jordan Jefferson was a young quarterback. They couldn't run the football. They were banged up on the offensive line. I think because of that, they really struggled to find an identity. When you struggle to find an identity, you become predictable. That's where they were a year ago. They feel they're better up front, better in the backfield, better at receiver, and Jordan Jefferson now has a year under his belt at being the guy. So they feel that they can be very explosive. Tonight we'll find out.
And one of the other things we're about to find out, you know, whenever there are suspensions, it means that somebody is going to get an opportunity. Some of these youngsters at North Carolina will attempt to step up here tonight. And both of these teams back in their locker room, they want one heart. They want to play here tonight as one. Back to the Chick-fil-A kickoff game at the Georgia Dome with Kirk Herbstreit. I'm Brent Musburger. If you ask North Carolina coach Butch Davis what yesterday was like when he learned that 13 players were not coming, he says simply, "I've had better days." The third member of our broadcast team here tonight, Aaron Andrews. And Aaron, you've been keeping a close eye on the Tar Heel players and coaches.
Absolutely, Brent. The mood right now with UNC's players, very good. They're very excited. And I have to tell you, this is one of the most emotional pre-games I've ever seen. Coaches in the middle of huddles screaming, paint the picture. It's do or die. This is our championship. Brent, there was also a sense of relief tonight during warm-ups. They know who's going to play, and they know who they left in Chapel Hill. Coaches shared with me, we haven't slept in weeks. We finally got a few hours last night. And finally, head coach Butch Davis did mention, hey, let's put this in perspective. It's not life or death, but this is one of the toughest situations he's had to handle as a head coach. He said the theme of his pregame speech, guys, have fun. You came to Carolina for the big games. Here it is.
LSU won the toss, and they will defer. So Butch Davis's offense will get the ball first here tonight. Les Miles, his 5th season as LSU head coach. Among his triumphs, of course, a BCS championship. Expectations are always high down in Baton Rouge and down there in Tigerland. They want this team to stalk another title today, beginning with this game. Because of the suspensions, LSU is now a double-digit favorite in this game. Many alums live here in Atlanta from both schools. And the man with the big leg, Josh Jasper, puts the ball on the tee. Hit that 57-yard field goal in their spring game. Takes the deep breath, and here we go. Fielded at the goal line. Jordan Nix. And he is out to the 24-yard line. And Herbie's, here comes senior quarterback from Marietta, Georgia, close by, T.J. Yates.
Yeah, T.J. has been a 4-year starting quarterback now, coming into this year as last year. And you mentioned from Marietta, very close to the Atlanta area. You know, the knock on T.J. is he just last year forced too many throws. He threw 15 interceptions. He's very cerebral, typically makes some good decisions, but last year he had a tendency to force some throws. This year he's got to settle down and give his offense a chance.
His running back is Johnny White, number 34. And Yates on first down, incomplete on the screen pass to Devin Ramsey, the fullback. So the North Carolina offense, we have talked about Yates, and because Drone and Houston are not here, Johnny White steps in with Ramsey as the fullback. Now keep an eye on number 17, Zach Pianalto. He's a fine tight end, a senior. He can get downfield in the seam. They must try to get the ball, and this offensive line has to hold up here against the Tigers. No suspensions in the offensive line. White's first carry, and it's a good one. Fumble, that's been his problem. LSU has it. It has plagued Johnny White throughout his career, and Brandon Taylor recovers that fumble, and it'll be LSU football. I think White, lingering on the field, thought his knees might have been down. Let's take a look.
Brett, that's what he's saying. He's pointing to say he is down. It looked like from up here that his hand was down, but his body was not down. That's a fumble and a ball, and obviously LSU gets the big turnover here early, and you could just imagine Johnny White stepping in as a third-string tailback tonight. Has to be the starter. All night he's telling himself on his first carry, just hold on to the football. Great run, but he ended up...
Further review.
It's under review. So the fellas upstairs, this is a SEC crew. Steve Shaw, one of the best NCAA referees in the country, will go over to the headset. You saw the back come down. There was an LSU player underneath him. Did the knee hit the ground before the ball came loose?
That's a fumble.
I believe it is. And that will put...
Brett, it's a great effort for him with this kind of pressure, but it looked like the ball just came out right before he touched the surface.
Shaw will get the word, and then he'll pass it along. Regardless, now when LSU gets the football, whether they get it here or a little bit later, Gary Croton upstairs, the offensive coordinator, he said it may take him up to 3 series tonight to settle in and figure out just who Carolina is using and what their style of play is going to be. There are so many unknowns for Les Miles and this Tiger coaching staff here tonight. Obviously, they want to see how the secondary is going to play. When you have youngsters throughout your secondary, there is Croton, one time the head coach out at BYU. This is the first time that Croton has called plays for LSU when they've had a starting quarterback come back. He's very pleased with Jordan Jefferson.
After review, the play stands as called.
So now it will be Jefferson and the Tigers with the first play here, Herbie.
Exactly how North Carolina did not want to start this game. And if you're Gary Croton, you just talked about him. 4 new starters in the secondary, a big turnover, a great chance here maybe for the quarterback to try to take a shot downfield.
So Jefferson will take the direct snap. Ridley, number 34, with that handoff, and they'll hit the middle of the defensive line and see what they've got down there one-on-one down in that pit area. Jefferson He's a 6'5" junior. When you watch him, it looks like we've got a player down for LSU. We've got an injury timeout here, Herbie. I see.
Yeah, it looks like a big offensive lineman is down. Looks like Will Blackwell, the right guard.
Well, to give you an idea, as we see the young man being tended to, the fresh faces on defense. The only starter is Powell. Now, keep an eye on 98. He's a young man who came with a reputation. He's been in trouble off and on, but he has great skill if he shows up here tonight. Sturdivant and Carter, they were authorized to play last night, came down and joined the teammate, but it's here in the secondary where you must keep an eye on everybody. Jackson, Merletti, Robinson, and Fantroy under the gun here tonight, Herbie.
And a lot of these players who are being asked to step up have great ability to play. They just don't have a lot of the experience that the players ahead of them have. So it's not necessarily a question about athletic ability. It's just about what they're going to see and how do they react to it.
Troughton will check how they position, how they play off the wide receiver. How many yards will they give them? Keeping it conservative, running right straight ahead, and first thing they want to test that defensive line. Let's now check out the LSU offense. We of course have talked about Jefferson, who is backed up by Jarrett Lee, but Herbie, we have Ridley. They are very deep at running back, aren't they?
They are, and I think that was an area last year that became an Achilles heel. They had some injuries back there, and it slowed down their ability to run the football, and they feel very, very good, not just with Ridley, but also Richard Murphy and a true freshman, Spencer Ware.
And Murphy checks in now. Jordan rolls the pocket, complete and incomplete. Russell Shepard, their all-purpose player, had to reach up. It was not a perfect throw, but it was one he probably should have handled, and he couldn't hang on. Take a second look.
He's the dynamic playmaker that Gary Crowton just wants to find ways to get him the football in space, and it's in the boundary. Ball's a little bit high. Would have been a good catch, but Jordan Jefferson here early just looks like he's aiming the football on that throw instead of just coming out and firing the ball and hitting Russell Shepard right in the numbers.
So Crowton with a very conservative first series here tonight as he takes a look at Carolina. A 44-yard field goal. Jasper with a big leg. No good. And Carolina survives the turnover.
Tell you what, that may not seem like a big deal to you at home, but after everything that North Carolina's been through, to fumble the ball the first time they carry the ball, and then to stop LSU and to get the ball back, that's big for the Tar Heels.
Sliding this one to the right. Off the upright. A fired up Butch Davis. The LSU guard Will Blackwell receiving some attention over there on the sideline. He was injured on that first series, and now it'll be North Carolina football for the second time, and trotting back out is Johnny White, number 34, who fumbled. Again, they are without Sean Drone and Ryan Houston. They have switched Anthony Elzey back to tailback to back him up. Yates under center. The base 4-3. Play action and complete to the 34-yard line. And there's the tight end, Pianalto's first catch of the night.
This North Carolina offense is predicated upon being able to establish the run and then giving T.J. Yates time to throw off of play action passes. John Shoup has a background in the NFL, and he loves to be able to run the ball, get the LSU defense to respect that, and then typically try to get Yates in a comfortable position where he's in rhythm off the play action pass. So there's the experience of Yates, 4 years under center for North Carolina. Late movement by LSU. He makes an adjustment at the line.
Fumble again. LSU's got it. Barrow, Lamine Barrow, a redshirt freshman linebacker, recovers this one.
Well, Brent, he makes the adjustment. He's back in the shotgun. He sees pressure, does everything that you're supposed to do, but Cooper does not get the snap up. Yates, I don't think, ever had his hands on the football. And this LSU defense only created 18 turnovers the entire 2009 year, and the first 2 drives in 2010, they've already got 2.
Stephen Ridley back in as running back. LSU starts the second series in North Carolina territory. Let's see if Croton doesn't open it up here soon. Stampley is in at fullback. Quick flash, he had daylight over there. A soft corner. Croton saw it during the first series, and he picked it up, and they're to the 25-yard line on that first play. Ruben Randall, the intended receiver.
Yeah, like you said, Brent, it's kind of a chess match right now. Imagine preparing for the first game. It's always difficult in college football anyway, because you're looking at film maybe at a spring game or from last season. Well, right now he's looking at some personnel that he's never seen, so he's learning how they're going to attack his offense throughout this process and trying to make the adjustments.
Now Terrence Tolliver, the big fella, goes out wide to the left, and Jefferson keeps it. Had a read, and he is very close, but just a little short of the first down. Zach Brown over there defensively for the Tar Heels.
Zach Brown there showing his speed. It's a good read by the quarterback Jefferson, and that's what he's going to bring to this offense this year, is ability to run and throw. You know, he's put on about 15 or 20 pounds from last year. 6'5" now at about 225 pounds.
Ridley is his tailback. 3rd down and 1 for the Tigers. Joseph, the tight end, flexes to the left side. Quick fire, and these corners have got to tighten it up. Tolliver over to the right side with his first catch. This is 4 and 5 yards a crack.
Well, I think because of the youth and inexperience, right now Everett Weathers, the defensive coordinators, does have that big cushion. And Gary Croton, or it could actually be coming from Jordan Jefferson from down in the field, seeing that 8 to 10 yard cushion and just taking the snap and throwing the ball out there for an easy completion, especially on 3rd and short.
And Herbie into the red zone now at the 15-yard line. Jefferson with that variation of the pistol, and then an inside handoff. Ridley cuts, slashes to the 6-yard line. Getting to the second level, getting through that defensive line here.
This play looks like it is designed to go to the defense's right, to your left, but you can see the vision there and the cutback by Ridley. They love these backs and what they have. I really think when you look at Ridley and Murphy, Michael Ford, if he gets his chance, or Spencer Ware, the true freshman, this year when you watch LSU's offense, there's going to be a little bit more zip, a little bit more speed and explosiveness out of this backfield.
Right now it is Ridley, and muscling his way across the 5-yard line. There is Paige Moss, the youngster I told you about. When he was recruited by Butch Davis and the Tar Heels, he was one of the most highly recruited defensive linemen in the country. He was suspended, unable to play in the bowl game, but if this youngster ever grows up, he can play some big-time football. I think you saw that speed, Herbie, that he had when he came around the corner. He was working on that youngster from behind.
Well, Paige Moss, and you throw in Tim Jackson, 93, Kareem Martin, 95. They are loaded with defensive linemen. A lot of them are young, but the athletic ability is there, and Blackwell gets taken in probably for some x-rays. Incidentally, T-Bob Hebert, Bobby Hebert's son, the backup center, has moved into right guard to replace Blackwell.
He's coming off a leg injury.
Yeah.
It's healing up too. So here we go. 1st down and goal just across the 5-yard line. Toss. Ridley hit the backfield and thrown for a loss. And that was Quentin Coples, who makes the stop in the backfield. He beat his man clean.
Well, don't underestimate this defensive line just because they have some guys that are out, especially in the interior. Powell, 91, and this time Coples, who would be the backup for Marvin Austin. Boy, look at the size. 6'6", 275 pounds. He's able to shed the block, get the penetration, and Ridley didn't have a chance before he even had the football. Here came Coples to lock in on him.
Jordan Jefferson up under center on this 2nd and goal. In a foot race, and he is out of bounds around the 5-yard line, and that was Gene Robinson starting at safety here tonight. He's played corner and safety, number 1, who comes up and forces him out.
Really good coverage, you know, here from North Carolina. last few plays, you know, they've been taken advantage of up front because of the cushion with some simple throws. They've made some adjustments. They're tightening up their cushion now and trying to make Jordan Jefferson read. Remember, that was the problem he had a year ago, reading his progressions and coming off that primary receiver.
They spread the field. That means a freshman, Trey Boston's going to have to cover. Slash, end zone, touchdown. So they put the ball in Russell Shepard's hands, and he scores LSU's first touchdown of the season. And that time, he hangs on to the forward pass from Jordan Jefferson.
The versatility of the offense. Showing a lot of the power look, running the football, this time spreading this defense, this inexperienced defense all over the field, get the one-on-one matchup that they want, and pitch and catch between Jordan Jefferson to Russell Shepard.
2 turnovers and 1 touchdown for LSU. You're watching Saturday Night Football on ABC. Back with the kickoff in a moment. The Fan Fest. Nothing like the Chick-fil-A opening game down here in Atlanta. However, you got to be very discouraging for North Carolina. They've run 4 plays and they've turned it over on 2 fumbles.
I mean, this would be bad under any circumstances, let alone what David have been dealing with for the last couple of weeks, of course, in Chapel Hill, and then suspending the players. That's the one thing with TJ Yates as a 4-year starting quarterback. He's got to get this offense to settle down and just try to execute.
Boy, Jasper's having a troublesome night for him. He's a good kicker.
Yeah.
He's missed a field goal. Now he kicks it out of bounds. And take another look at that touchdown.
Well, you talked about it, how they spread the entire North Carolina defense out and got a one-on-one matchup. Everybody all over the field is man-to-man. And when you have some inexperience, you got a great receiver in Russell Shepard that gets one-on-one, just makes an easy move to the inside. But the thing that I really liked out of the whole play is Jordan Jefferson, the much-maligned Jordan Jefferson, seeing the man, making the throw. Copels is coming in, closing in on him at 6'6", 275. He shows the courage to stand in the pocket and deliver that football.
As Jasper came off the field, he stayed about as far away from Les Miles as you possibly could. And Les walked down there to have a couple of words with the youngster. Now the ball, because of it being out of bounds, is spotted at the 40 for Carolina.
Until North Carolina does something offensively. Look at LSU's defense. They have their ears pinned back. They're in attack mode right now.
And a timeout. Carolina calls a timeout. I know that Johnny White, the running back, was looking over to the sideline.
North Carolina, timeout was called before the play clock ran out. That's their first timeout of the half.
Let's just reiterate, when you lose your top 2 tailbacks, your primary go-to receiver, and the game starts like this, it's not a shock at all to see this North Carolina offense a little bit spooked.
Yeah, absolutely, Herbie. We'll be right back. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series heads to Atlanta again for Labor Day weekend. And you know, Jamie McMurray and Mark Martin, they got to get started, get off that bubble and into the chase. There's only 2 races remaining. So the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Atlanta, ESPN Sunday, 7:30 Eastern. There's a whole lot of folks from these 2 states, Louisiana and North Carolina. They're making a big weekend out of it. They'll be out there watching that NASCAR race after this. We probably got a few drivers here tonight, too. They're big football fans. First down now for Carolina. Fumble! As Yates was pulling out.
Brent, right now, Drake Nevis is getting the best of Jonathan Cooper, the center. Nevis is so quick off the ball, but by the time Cooper snaps the ball, 92 is almost by him. And because of that, it's really affecting the transition center quarterback exchange from the center back to the quarterback. Nevis is just too dominant up front.
Got to get a hard count when a rascal's got to read on you like
Absolutely.
that. Second down and 10 now for Yates. Here is White. Nothing doing. Well, let's go to Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York for an update. One of the BCS Busters with a big game. The other one you'll see Monday night on ESPN. Boise State and Virginia Tech.
LSU gets you to 3rd down, usually pressure.
Here they come. And they sack him. You called it, Herbie, all over it on that pressure. And Sam Montgomery rolled in for the sack.
This is the area that I think LSU has improved the most defensively from last year to this year. Not just the pressure, but the speed off the edge. Sam Montgomery, a freshman, explosive, very physical. Kiki Mingo, Kendrick Adams have a lot of speed up front, and that time John Chavis turned him loose.
Brent Selleck punts it, and Patrick Peterson, the Blazer, picks it up at the 27. Has been timed in a 4-2-4 handheld. Out to the 46-yard line near midfield for Peterson. He is a big-time defensive back. Well, I mentioned this in the All-State kickoff in the Capitol as part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Landover, Maryland, 8 Eastern. You'll be there for this one. Boise State and Virginia Tech, number 3 and number 10. Boise State favored as they head east into the humidity. Now it is first down and 10 for Jefferson and the Tigers. They've had the ball twice, missed a field goal, scored a touchdown. If you just joined us, Jefferson on first down, almost picked off. There was pretty good coverage on Tolliver that time. And Aaron, what about this secondary for North Carolina and the coaches? What are you hearing down below?
Well, after LSU scored on that touchdown, Brent, the secondary, who was hit the hardest, obviously, by all the violations and the suspensions, came over and was saying to the coach, we don't have the call. We didn't know the call. DB coach Troy Douglas said, that's our bad. That's the coach's bad. They thought that the players had the call. The coaches realized they didn't get it to them in time.
Well, we'll see. That time they held up a little bit better, second down and 10. How about the linebackers for the Tar Heels?
Bruce Carter and Quan Sturtevant, first time they've been in the game all night.
So they joined the team late. Fumble, put it on the ground, picked up again though by the running back, and was able to save it. And Russell Shepard.
Brent, you'll be able to describe this much better than me, but I remember yesterday there was a release. There were 6 players in one category, 6 in another, and then another 3. And 2 of the 3 were left behind in Chapel Hill, and they ended up flying in late and joining this team. And there they are, Bruce Carter and Quan Sturtevant. By the way, 2 of the top linebackers in college football just stepped on the field for North Carolina.
And perhaps made a little bit of a difference. It's a pretty good series here defensively for the Tar Heels. Jefferson, third, and dropped again. A jarring hit by number. And there's one of those linebackers, Sturtevant.
There they are, Sturtevant and Bruce Carter. Like I said, it's a whole different level. When this North Carolina defense thought they would show up to play this year, these are the kind of playmakers they thought they had. He's right in the middle of the screen, reading the route. Did you notice how he just got his head on a swivel, knowing that Shepard's coming from the outside end, and Carter lays him out and separates him from the ball?
Let me correct myself. I said Sturtevant. That was 54 Carter who made that jarring hit. And now Harrelson is back deep for the Tar Heels. They're without their punt returner. And it bounces out of bounds. Herbie mentioned to you a couple of lists, and let me clarify.
Yeah.
There are 2 now ineligible because they have found rules violations. The group on the left, headed by Marvin Austin, there are violations involving all 7 of those players, including wide receiver Greg Little. The ones who are being withheld, they're still optimistic about what they may not be able to find, but they wanted to be careful so they didn't win this game and then have to forfeit along the way. So they are still under scrutiny, the 6 players over there on the right. Now, we don't know how long any of those players are going to be ineligible. The NCAA hasn't handed out their sanctions, nor has the school, based on some academic fraud problems. Elsie, his first series, Yates drops back at a wide open receiver. And they used White out wide and threw to him, and they had him open.
This is what North Carolina's going to have to do. One of the ways to slow down an aggressive defense is to have a lot of pre-snap movement. And that time, they were shifting all over the place, different formations to give LSU a different look, to hope to slow them down. And they found a nice little hole in the back of the zone defense from LSU. And with White's background as a wide receiver, you can move him to the outside, and he's very comfortable in that role.
So there's their first down of the night. Did it on the pass play. They're now up to the 32-yard line with Yates doing a lot of changing at the plays against this defense. Here's White swinging wide. There's a penalty flag. Penalty flag thrown at the line of scrimmage by the umpire, and that certainly would indicate holding. Brent Soll is the umpire working with Steve Shaw here.
Shot block. Steve Shaw, one of the best in college football, of course, to the SEC. You know, Brent, I almost feel right now that LSU does not respect Yates and this offense getting downfield. That's why it was such a big throw to Johnny White. They're going to have to do more of that to get this LSU defense to get back a little bit, to give them a chance to run the ball.
68 on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Now that's a 15-yard penalty against North Carolina, and it will back them up just when they had a little life.
Well, Carter comes in and Sturdivant comes into the defense. Carter makes a huge play, separating Shepard from the ball, and all of a sudden it looks like they have a little bit of life. Comes back, hit Johnny White on a pass play, and it's like maybe North Carolina's going to get something going. You can't self-destruct like this. You just can't afford to do it.
Not against a quality team like LSU, you bet. Jonathan Cooper leads Yates up to the line of scrimmage. Ramsey, the fullback, he's in front of Johnny White. Play action. Has to step up in the pocket. Does. And complete underneath, but obviously way short after the penalty of a first down. They go back to Pianalto, his second catch of the night.
This LSU defense, I'm just looking at them and preparing this week. They may be a little bit smaller in size, but I think by the time we look back at this year, this is going to be a much faster defense, especially, as I said, on the perimeter, the defensive ends, linebackers. This is going to be a good-looking group this year, and it's going to be tough for this North Carolina offense to try to get out of this hole right now.
You can see how the corners press for LSU. Up at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, just tremendous corners. Here is White. Battles. Pretty good run on his part. But that's still going to leave him with 3rd and long, and Nevis makes the stop.
One of the things that North Carolina wanted to try to do, and you always hear coaches talk about this, staying on schedule. Staying on schedule means 1st and 10 goes to 2nd and 6, 2nd and 6 goes to 3rd and 3, and you can manage the down and distance a little bit to give you some options with your play calling. 3rd and long against John Chavis and the athletes of LSU is not where you want to be to have much success.
And just as you said earlier, they show press again on 3rd and long. Backers walk up into the gaps. Here they come, and he had to throw it away.
The way they lock you down on the outside, because of the confidence they have in their defensive backs, it really makes it difficult to hold up, and you can have maximum protection, do anything that you want to try to do, but look how quick they close in on Yates. Tried to set up the screen there that time to White, but it never had a chance.
So Peterson goes back deep again. Shalak ready to punt. And here is a youngster who someday will be playing Sunday football. He's only a junior. He's out of Pompano Beach, Florida. He's 6'1", 222. And if he gets a returnable one in some daylight. Boy, there was pressure. There's a flag. They've roughed the punter. He is down at the 42-yard line. Shalak went down. Now we'll see if it's the 5-yard version or the 15, which is an automatic first down. That's the decision we await now. 5 will not give him a first down.
He came in pretty hard there, Brent. I think it's going to be 15.
Personal foul.
Yeah, that's personal foul. That's first down now.
Number 56 on the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, the game has been tilted in the favor of the Tigers, and this is one of the first real breaks for North Carolina. Trying to come up with a potential knockout punch here as far as momentum, really shifting it in favor of LSU, but just runs right into him. Big break for the Tar Heels here.
Well, keep an eye on what Herbie's telling you about the two corners. Morris Claiborne and Patrick Peterson. Peterson number 7 and Claiborne is number 17. And watch how they press up at the line of scrimmage. They absolutely take receivers away. And for the time being, they're going to take Peterson out after that punt return to use Matthew. Tyrann Mathieu, a freshman from New Orleans, is now on the other corner. The coaches upstairs for Carolina will spot that immediately. Play action. Yates back, steps away, complete in underneath. So let's check in again with Robert Flores in New York. Yeah, that's pretty good, and we certainly hope that Mark Ingram returns quickly. We'll see Alabama next week down in Tuscaloosa when they host the Nittany Lions, Joe Paterno, and Penn State. Man, that'll be some scene down there for that one. Got a little timeout here. Herbie, showing that game, the TCU game, Robert, the highlights. Let's take a little peek ahead and tell me what you think we might see on Monday night. I'm thinking we might see a high-scoring football game between Boise State and Virginia Tech.
I can't wait to see Kellen Moore. After last year, the quarterback from Boise State had one of those years you just step back and say, really? 39 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions? And now he has to go against a young Virginia Tech defense that we know will be very aggressive. But Tyrod Taylor, to me, the quarterback from Virginia Tech, not a whole lot of people seem to be talking about this week, might be the most dynamic quarterback with the ability to run and throw. You could see how many wins he has. He's been around. Look at that. In this year in the country, and 2 of the 3 are going to be going head-to-head.
Excellent. And Dalton's going right now against Oregon State. You just saw him throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's got a lot of weapons, too.
Here we go now. 2nd down and 4. T.J. Yates, the senior quarterback in Carolina. And there's White. Let me check that a little bit now. That's Elsie, his first carry. He had replaced White. I jumped too quick on the hairdo, folks. I apologize. It's not White down there. Elsie switched back and forth between tailback and fullback. And I'll tell you, Nevis is a man.
He is. He is. And, one of the things at this point is becoming very clear is North Carolina's receivers, tight ends, and backs have to be able to get away from this man-to-man coverage to give Yates a chance. And another 3rd down, more man-to-man coverage and more pressure. How will the offensive line protect, and will Yates be able to make the throw?
Well, they go empty, and by doing that forces one of the corners to release a little bit. That was a very well drawn up play. They had press coverage on the right, and what they did was motion Elsie out, and the corner had to back up on that side and give him daylight.
Well, the other thing that it did, Brent, is it gave him a different matchup. Instead of trying to beat the corners man-to-man, this time it was Brandon Taylor, the safety, that was lined up one-on-one with the receiver out in space, and that time they were able to make the catch there with Dwight Jones.
That's big-time play call right there. That's 1st down and 10 for the Tar Heels, who are starting to move the ball a little bit. Yates, quick hit over the middle. When he gets time, he's throwing the ball beautifully. And Pianalto makes his 3rd catch of the night.
One of the areas it looks like John Shoup, the offensive coordinator from North Carolina, wants to get the football out of Yates' hands as fast as possible. Remember, LSU breaking in 2 new linebackers that are flanking Kelvin Shepard, number 11, the All-American in the middle. Right now they're trying to exploit the outside linebackers and the safeties in man-to-man coverage situations or in zone and just trying to find the hole, but most importantly, getting the ball out of Yates' hand quickly.
Elsie is lined up in the tail behind Ramsey on this 2nd down. And there's movement on the right side. The tight end, Pianalto, may be guilty. Critical penalty if that's against the Tar Heels.
False start, number 17.
Yeah, that's critical.
5-yard
We
penalty.
talked about staying.
He's mad at himself for that.
We talked about staying on schedule and the importance of that. Now instead of 2nd and 4 or 5, push them back 5 more yards, and now you're back to 2nd and 10, which is going to favor LSU and their aggressive style.
T.J. Yates grew up right around here, Marietta, Georgia. 2nd down, 10. Fires a quick slant, and he's got something going. That was Jay Boyd making the catch. He's only a sophomore, but they've got 2 sophomore receivers in Boyd and Highsmith. The LSU coaches said, Greg Little is a great player, but these 2 youngsters are good receivers.
And Boyd, as a freshman last year, kind of learning on the go along with Highsmith. And I think the experience they gained last year, they played pretty well for freshmen, but this year they're expecting bigger things from them.
Here's that power eye look again. And the first quarter, final seconds ticking away here. Here is Elsie. Got the first down. Crossed the 30-yard line. Most promising drive of the night by far for the Tar Heels.
Mixing up the play calling too, Brent, with some runs and some passes. It's the first time we've seen LSU's defense on their heels a little bit because of the adjustments by John Shoup, the offensive coordinator from North Carolina.
So we're at the top of the hour, and LSU leads North Carolina. This presentation of Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger in Atlanta. The Chick-fil-A kickoff between North Carolina and LSU. Tigers lead it by 7. Tar Heels with their best drive of the night. And TJ Yates comes up with Elzy staying in behind Ramsey in that power I formation. Elzy running right straight up the middle. And Herbie, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. Obviously the turnovers huge as far as that touchdown was concerned.
I think you'd have to say that after the way the first half went, and you look at the bottom number, the turnovers, North Carolina in really good position to only be down 7-0 and now putting together their best drive of the night, because you look at the numbers, those 64 yards, most of those yards have come right here on this drive for North Carolina. Those adjustments trying to make this LSU defense have to think about what's going on.
Yates, pocket breaks down. He sprints to the right, and he'll step out of bounds near the first down marker. And we'll take a look. The crowd, the Carolina crowd, thought that it was a helmet violation down there, and there is a flag, and you can see the coaches right there are with Barrow.
This is going to be a new rule that they're really trying to emphasize. If they feel that a player is defenseless and you go in high, that's what's going to be called. And this time I think it was more about possibility of being out of bounds as opposed to being head-to-head. But you saw Les Miles. He didn't want to argue it. But you know what? TJ Yates there, little thing, first game of the year. The entire offseason, this senior quarterback has worked on decision-making, finding his outlet, throwing the ball away, scrambling when he has to, instead of forcing throws. 15 interceptions a year ago. That's been his emphasis. So to see that on a pivotal drive, very good news there for North Carolina.
Number 13. He grew up in Indianapolis before he moved to Georgia, and he still follows the Indianapolis Colts, and he'd like to make like Peyton Manning right here. Complete in underneath. The fullback dives for the score. Devin Ramsey, a junior from Red Bank, New Jersey. And we must say, TJ, that Peyton couldn't have done any better.
Brett, 6'2", 250. I love to see fullbacks when they get a chance to make something happen. Look at the athletic ability and the speed at 6'2", 250. He's able to avoid Brandon Taylor, the safety, and then he accelerates, and I don't think anybody wanted to get in his way before he got to the end zone.
And Herbie, that drive obviously was kept alive by the roughing the punter play. So they complete the scoring drive. They add the extra point, Casey Barth. And we are deadlocked at 7 on Saturday Night Football on ABC. We welcome you back to Saturday Night Football, the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic here in Atlanta. LSU and North Carolina deadlocked at 7, 13:49 left here in the first half at the Georgia Dome. Here's Peterson coming out from the goal line. 20, breaks free on that far side, and he's upended. And that was Casey Barth, the kicker, who may have saved the touchdown. All right, Herbie, here's your first half flag. Here we go.
Week 1.
You're either going to know this immediately, or you're All right.
I'm getting out of the gate here in 2010.
Won the BCS National Championship 2003, 2007. Who were the 2 starting quarterbacks on those Tiger teams?
I'm going to get this really, really fast here. You want me to answer right now? I'll just give me a minute and a half.
A minute and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll bring it right back. I knew you were either going to know it right away.
Yeah.
And most of the LSU fans say we got that one, but some of you fans are going to be surprised. Okay. And here is the handoff, and they put the ball in Russell Shepard's hands that time on first down. A little bit of an all-purpose back, can play a little bit of a quarterback. They'll bring him out. They use him, as you know, in the Wildcat formation. Wide receiver, does a lot of things for you.
See if North Carolina is going to be able to use the momentum from that drive to be able to see if it can still affect this defense. Remember last time they were out there, they had Bruce Carter and Sturdivant on the field.
And Murphy, that option looking. Jefferson keeping it all the way, and he's tripped up short of the first down, and Paige Moss tripped him up that time, prevented him.
I got it. The 0-3.
He says he's
the 0-3 was. I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I got it.
All right.
One of them's doing a bang-up job in the NFL, actually. I think he's a backup.
Yes. Here, Ridley checks in. Heel fans are alive now. This is a big third down coming up. Try to run straight ahead, and they pick it up. Power football. And for an update, here's Robert Flores in New York. Robert. Russell Shepard steps into the backfield. They fake to him. Jefferson keeps it straight ahead to the 41. All right, Herbie, who are the 2?
Monk and Flynn.
There you go. I mean, my man, Kirk Herbstreit is all over. How many of you answered Jamarcus Russell as one of the quarterbacks? Jamarcus did not win a championship. Mauk and Flynn, give us the NFL update.
Well, Matt Flynn, I think, is a backup. I want to say, what is it, the Packers maybe? Or is that where he is?
I'm waiting for you.
I think he is. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out for sure. Because he's doing a good job.
That was your Aflac trivia question. Herbie goes up 1-0 on the season. Way to go. Jefferson underneath down, complete, and short of a first down. Mitch Joseph. We should point out that the Tigers are without D'Angelo Peterson, a fine starting tight end. Les Miles telling us last night that he thought he'd missed maybe 3 weeks. And so Clement and Joseph and Tyler Edwards have to pick up that spot as we see Clement dash onto the field now.
Another third down for this LSU offense. So far, they're 3 of 5 on third downs.
Get an update from the medical folks that Will Blackwell will not return to this game. So that's a tough blow to this offensive line. They lose a starting offensive lineman. And Ridley is stopped. Good defense that time by the heels. Sturdivant is in there, number 52.
That's, I think, where LSU's fans sometimes get frustrated with the LSU offensive attack. They went right back to the well again, trying to be physical. It worked for them the last time on third and short, trying to be able to run the football. But look at the linebacker play from Bruce Carter again. Physical. Quan Sturdivant getting in there, making plays. The addition of Carter and Sturdivant back into the North Carolina defense has had a major impact on the emotion of the Tar Heels.
Now Jasper will try to pooch this one, and Todd Harrelson is back deep for the Heels. They lost both of their punt returners, their starting corners. Hangs it up high, and he tries to catch it, but I believe, did he keep it out? It's being signaled down. I thought he had stepped on in with control into the end zone, but the official was right there on top of it. Makes a great play down there.
One guy signaled possession. LSU. I don't know what in the world he was.
Take a look at this and see that ball gets over that plane there.
It's well beyond, almost 2 yards past the line.
It's close.
It's not about the player's feet. It's not about where he's positioned. It has everything to do in college football with where is the football. Does it ever break the plane? You tell me. Does the ball break the plane? Only by 2.5 yards.
And Butch Davis was all over the call.
Yeah,
right away.
That's a touchback.
On the play, the kicking team batted the ball have illegal touching. The action after that, there was no foul, so therefore the illegal touching in the end zone will be a touchback.
Yes.
It'll be 1st and 10 on the
Yeah, no question. He was way over the line. Yeah.
First week, it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's, preseason for the. Well, we got more than we
ball game
for here, my friend, huh?
Great game.
Carolina showed up, 7-all. Well, there's another life for Kirk Herbstreit if he wants it, and that is an official all over that rule, no doubt about it. And also, you were right about young Flynn.
Yes.
Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, doing a good job there.
A little difficulty getting on the field when you got Aaron Rodgers lighting it up there. But 1st down and 10 now for Yates and the Tar Heels. Johnny White comes back as the running back. Play action to him. Yates with time. Comes middle, midfield in a foot race. And down across the 15-yard line, Jay Boyd. So Yates with some beautiful play action that time. A 75-yard play.
Another outstanding job here by T.J. Yates, showing the patience, waiting for the play to develop, and then right there stepping up into the pocket underneath the block of Ramsey, makes a great throw just over the safety, makes the throw, and then Boyd, one of the fastest players on the North Carolina team, almost gets it all the way into the end zone.
And it'll be 1st down and goal. Elzey comes in. They put it in his hands up the middle, and he's stopped at the 3-yard line by the middle of that defense.
Well, give John Shoop an assist here, the offensive coordinator, what he's been able to do, making the adjustments from the last drive into this drive. And what's happened all of a sudden is he has a quarterback that's starting to settle down and be able to make reads and play with confidence. That's so important with so many new players having to play tonight.
I mean, Carolina Nation on its feet down here in Atlanta right now. Play action, throw, dropped on the goal line by the fullback Ramsey. He would have walked in for 6.
He was the young man who made that great play earlier, showed that explosiveness cutting upfield. This time, I think he was so excited to have 2 touchdowns in one game, he couldn't hold on to that. That's where Yates, 4 years of starting experience, he's got to be able to shake that off, and let's go get him here on 3rd down.
Well, I'll tell you, Yates and offensive coordinator John Shoop have found something here on these last 2 series. That receiver was wide open, and here it comes now, 3rd down and goal. Play action, Yates trying to buy time, trying to get somebody open, receiver not moving, and throws it away. Yates needed a little more movement in the end zone, Herbie. The defensive backs were all over the receivers.
Last year, Yates would have tried to force that in and try to make the play. This time, he throws it away, sets up the field goal. Keep in mind, last year, LSU, the best in the country at allowing touchdowns in the red zone. They only allowed 32% of the time their opponents to score touchdowns, so they're not an easy team to score touchdowns on once you get down in this area.
Yeah, that's a good point. They had really locked up the receivers that
Absolutely.
time.
Great coverage.
Yeah, well, here's Casey Barth. His brother kicks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He set all the North Carolina records. His younger brother trying to tack on a 20, and North Carolina moves ahead for the first time. Ooh, look what we found. Double-digit underdog leads by a field goal. Hello. Well, in case you just joined us, 13 players, including 7 defensive starters, were left behind by North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Yet here they lead LSU 10-7, and they kick it off. And Peterson wants to go to work from the 4. They're going to run Shepard on it. He keeps it on the reverse. Fake the reverse. Peterson trying to break loose again, and the kicker is over there. Casey Barth with 2 stops on the kickoff team against the Blazer. Now, the story, EA, began with Marvin Austin and doing a little tweeting down in Miami. Bring us up to date.
Well, Brent, this is allegedly what got the wheels in motion for the NCAA, what kind of piqued their interest in what was going on with the contact with the agents. in Miami and South Beach. A Twitter message was posted by Marvin Austin late in May, and you see what time it was, around 3 a.m. in the morning, talking about a club in South Beach and obviously some bottles of alcohol that were at the club. Also, Brent, I want to tell you about Marvin Austin's Facebook and what I'll tell you after this play here.
Well, here comes Shepard. They hand it to him. Hello, end zone. LSU back ahead. Aaron, hang on just a minute before we go back on more of that story. Herbie, bring us up to date on Russell Shepard and this play.
This year, what they're going to have to do with Russell Shepard, he's kind of, in the past, his freshman year was a wildcat quarterback. He was a running back. He was a receiver. They made a commitment to put him out wide, but by putting him out wide, he's a guy you want to get the football into in space, but also simple things like just get the football in his hands and let him do what he can do, because he's a Percy Harvin type of playmaker.
So Jasper tacks on the extra point. And that lead by Carolina didn't last long when you've got speed like that. Well, we're going to take a break right now as the Tigers have regained the lead. When we come back, we'll pick up the rest of the story from Aaron Andrews. Atlanta, Georgia. This city loves college football. Football of any kind. High school, Falcons, it doesn't matter. So you're going to play a football game. How about Georgia State under Bill Curry the other night? They outdrew the first place Atlanta Braves in this building. The youngster doesn't kick this one out of bounds, and it'll be down to, he's going to come out to the 4-yard line. Hunter Furr, inexperience with the kickoff return team, costs him. And so Aaron, go ahead and wrap up that story on Marvin Austin.
So we saw the Twitter there, Brent. That's what allegedly got the wheels in motion, and there was word, Marvin Austin in the stands tonight. I did ask UNC officials here on the sidelines if they knew anything about it. They said he didn't travel with us. We don't know how he got here. That's not our issue.
So Marvin, here's a piece of advice. Get yourself a sign that says, "Don't drink and Twitter." Put it up on a billboard. First down for the Tar Heels, and Johnny White comes back as the running back. White slashes short of the 10-yard line.
The last couple drives going all the way back to, remember, LSU roughed the punter. Think about this. Before that play by LSU special teams, North Carolina had 10 offensive plays and 14 yards. Since that, 14 plays, 147 yards, and the 10 points that they've been able to have. Now, a lot of that has to do with the adjustments that we've talked a lot about with John Shoup and Yates getting comfortable and the way they've adjusted to attacking the LSU defense.
Here's a second down for him, Herbie. You see they've gone to that power I. Ramsey, he's the lead fullback. They're going to throw out of it. He's going to go deep down the middle again. And this time he overthrows Boyd, but you can see the speedster out there. Went 75 yards with that last reception.
Real quick, I'd like to mention something about T.J. Yates. He's if you live in Chapel Hill or you're in the state of North Carolina, there's so much talk about the backup, Brent Renner, and how people can't wait to see Brent Renner take over. And Yates is, you know what, he throws too many interceptions. It's Renner's team. It's his time. How about Yates hearing all of that in the offseason, blocking that out, and up to this point against a very athletic defense, making some great decisions and giving his offense a chance to be able to produce without his top two tailbacks and his go-to wide receiver.
Now, Herbie, we had a shot of Brent Renner. He's got a big arm. Baseball player. Bad snap down to the end zone. That's a safety. That's 2 more points for LSU, and they'll get the ball back. You know, we saw Florida have one problem after another today with the shotgun snaps down in Gainesville. Watch this one.
Well, this time it's a good snap, but the problem is the cornerback Yates wasn't calling for the snap. And Cooper tonight, and I know Nevis is one of the better interior defensive linemen that you're going to see in the country, but I think Nevis is really affecting Jonathan Cooper right now and his mindset on certain downs and certain down and distances.
Carolina's got to be careful here now, Herbie. They don't want to crack before halftime. They were playing a dandy game, and then they've made a couple of they've made a couple of mental blunders. The first one is trying to run the ball out of the end zone. That gives them that bad field position. Then they're not paying attention on the shotgun snap. Those are mental errors which Carolina just simply can't afford when you've got 13 players, including 7 defensive starters, left behind. Ron Brooks. Peterson goes back. And there's a young man out there now from Cincinnati, Herbie. Number 16, Spencer Ware, is one of the return men. Standing over there at the 30-yard line. Played at Princeton High up your way. And look at that guy. Now he got a ton of it. How the Buckeyes let him get out? Now come on. Now you got to fess up.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. And here comes Peterson trying to pick his daylight. And he's now at the 36. And let's check in with Robert Flores in our Times Square studios in New York. Robert. Yeah, Sooners are big favorite in that one. TCU favored over Oregon State tonight.
That Russell Shepard lined up in the backfield with Jordan Jefferson again.
Yeah, there he is. This time they don't give it to him. Instead, they fire it right down the seam for a first down to the 45-yard line. Mitch Joseph, the tight end.
It's nice to see with D'Angelo Peterson down. One of the things that LSU thought they'd be able to do is because of how aggressive and athletic the linebackers are from North Carolina, they thought they'd find some one-on-one matchups and be able to get the tight end behind the linebackers. And that time, great throw by Jordan.
Toss play and a great defensive play by Sturdivant. Number 52 showed you why the Sunday folks are interested. I'm telling you, this is a big-time linebacking move right here.
Sturdivant and Bruce Carter. I don't know how Mel Kiper and Todd McShay are going to have a lot of fun trying to separate which of these two is a better player, because some people like Carter because of his combination of strength and speed, and a lot of others like Sturdivant because he just makes plays with his great instincts, as we just saw.
Second down and 12 for Jordan Jefferson. Pocket breaking down. He drops it off over the middle. Just beyond the original line of scrimmage is Richard Murphy, and battling for a loose ball down there.
Looks like North Carolina. Bruce Carter may be at the bottom of that pile. Looks like Carolina came up with that.
Yeah, they've got it. And Carter is on the bottom, number 54. So first it's Sturdivant, and then it's Carter. Those two backers make a difference.
They have made a huge difference coming into this game outside of the big play that we saw on the previous drive. And again, another one of those cases where the ball looks like, I wouldn't be surprised if they would take another look at this, but the ball did look like it came out before Murphy hit the ground. But now North Carolina, they get a break, and now it's back up to the LSU defense to try to make a play. Richard Murphy
checking the clock there, Harvey.
One of the first times Richard Murphy, the running back, has got his hands on the football.
So Johnny White back in as the Carolina tailback. Behind the right side.
North Carolina has had most of their success with Yates throwing the football. They're not winning that battle up front when it comes to being able to establish the run. I know you can't get completely away from it, but when you're going to run for a yard or two, you've got to get back to spreading the athletic LSU defense out and trying to find a one-on-one matchup that you like.
Second down and 8, and Yates directly back. Can't get it off, and Nevis in on top of him again. Second sack of the night.
The coverage was good. That time, again, looking for the tight ends to see if he could get rid of the football. But by the time he realized the coverage was there, Nevis breaking through and right up the middle. And for a quarterback, that's your worst nightmare. When you get pressure from the edge, which he's had tonight, he's been able to step up into the pocket. But when Nevis handles Cooper up front, there's nowhere for T.J. Yates to go.
And that time, Greg Ellaby was taking a crack at him, and he couldn't hold him up. He got matched up against the backup left guard that time. And now they smoke White. coming across that time is Nevis again leading the way. He's having a big night.
It's a good job by LSU's defense. After the turnover right close to midfield, they come up with a 3-and-out. Chance with the time still remaining to get the ball back to Jordan Jefferson. So after the miscue by LSU's offense, the Tigers defense steps up.
Shalleck to punt it. And Patrick Peterson awaits it. He's going to go. Got a block on the right side, a hole in the middle. Look out! Won't catch him, folks. Forget about it. You'd have to have Deion Sanders out there to catch him. That's 86 yards and the touchdown. Herbie, one of the points I want to make as we watch this, when you lose that many defensive players, you lose your coverage guys. Some of their best defensive players are on this punt coverage team, not here tonight.
Yeah, it's well said. And talking to their coaches, that was probably as big a concern that they had, their coverage teams, as much as it was just their defense taking 7 starters off that first team defense. We've seen it on kickoff coverage. By the way, they're trying to defend and slow down one of the premier return men. Looks like this year we'll see him, Patrick Peterson. Not only is he a top defensive back and one of the best corners in the country, but you can see in how elusive he is when he gets into the open field. He is gone.
Seems like just a breath ago that Carolina led this. Wow. So we welcome you back to Atlanta. ESPN Saturday Night Football on ABC. Monday night special on ESPN. You want to be there for Boise State and Virginia Tech. Landover, Maryland, 8 Eastern time. The BCS Busters are at it early. TCU playing Oregon State. And here tonight, LSU with the SEC with a lead. And coming out of the end zone again. And out of bounds is Boyd. They put him back to return it. Let us check in with Robert Flores in New York. Robert.
All right, Brent, how about the day that Denard Robinson had for Michigan as we take a peek at our AT&T All-American Player of the Week update. 383 total yards, 197 yards rushing. That's a single game school record for a quarterback. Text VOTE to 345-345 for a chance at a trip at the national championship. Brent, Kirk.
Hey, Herbie, just what Rich Rodriguez ordered, huh?
Yeah, that was impressive. You know, to see that offense executing like that. But I was really impressed with their defense and what they did to Jordan Togman and that UConn offense. Big win for Rich Rod.
Here's Yates back deep. Almost intercepted at the 45-yard line. Brandon Taylor, number 15, had great coverage that time, folks.
It was step for step with Ryan Taylor. Taylor really didn't have much of a chance of separating. This LSU defense now, after the lead, I think they're able to get back to where they were early in the game and become a little bit more assertive and aggressive in their approach. Let's see if Yates decides to take a few chances here with 3:49 to go to the half, or if they're going to get conservative.
He's moving the pocket, Herbie. He's going to try to throw on the move to the left, and he'll throw it away. That will bring up big third down. Rockers was in that time for LSU.
Great coverage again by LSU. And when North Carolina seemed to get it going for a drive or two, it was the quick throws. Getting back, spreading the defense out, making quick throws to give yourselves a chance, and staying ahead of the down and distance. Now they're back to 3rd and 10, which means John Chavis going to come after T.J. Yates here with more pressure and man-to-man coverage on the outside.
And after that drive, Nevis was back off the sideline.
Right.
3rd down and 10. Very conservative. White bounces off a tackle, still going for the first down, and very close. Boy, he broke a tackle that time. I thought he was down after about a 3 or 4 yard gain.
He broke a couple tackles there. Physical, just doing everything he can to try to fight for extra yardage to be able to pick up that first down. He pops off a couple of those would-be tacklers and came up a little bit short.
Go on, Herbie. Why not? 4th down and 1. Yates keeping himself. Tried to bring the defensive tackle off, and a timeout. Butch Davis was right behind the official. I want to remind everybody that coming up on the Northwestern Mutual halftime report, John Saunders and Jesse Palmer will have all the day's big highlights, and there are some major stories. Jesse's got to tell us what exactly happened to Urban Meyer's offense down in Gainesville today. I've never seen as many mistakes on the shotgun snap as what they had down there today.
People are going to look at that score and look at the numbers from the offense and just right away have a knee-jerk reaction and say, well, it's John Brantley, it's Tim Tebow. But if you watch the game, you're right. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes around Brantley. So let's hold off judgment and just say, well, that's Brantley. He can't do it. I think he's going to be fine. But boy, the continuity of that offense. I still go back to Dan Mullen leaving that offense and going to Mississippi State. Just things have not quite seemed to be the same since he left, and I'm talking about just from the continuity and the flow of the feel of the offense, and that's going to be something worth paying attention to as this season continues to go along.
Here's Peterson, driven back to the 12-yard line, looking for daylight again. Can he get a block? Mr. Excitement from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A 6'1" junior, Patrick Peterson, number 7. And we've got more excitement coming your way on Monday night at 8 Eastern. Boise State, ranked number 3 by the writers, against Virginia Tech. And the All-State kickoff in the Capitol as part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Kellen Moore, you get to see those great running backs. Frank Beamer and the Hokies, see what Bud Foster can do to replace some of those fine defensive players he had. What a dandy looming there. And now Jefferson on a play fake. He wants to air it out. Got a man. Touchdown. Ruben Randall, and Jordan Jefferson lights it up.
Jordan Jefferson, exactly what he needed. Settling in. This play took a lot of time, and you can see he waited to the last possible second before Paige Moss got to him. But Ruben Randall getting downfield, and this is what Tiger fans want to see from him. The sophomore at 6'4", 207 pounds. But Gary Croton, the offensive coordinator, telling Brent and I yesterday, he's going to feel things out the first 3 or 4 series with all the new personnel from North Carolina, and then make the adjustments and figure out how to go for the home run in the big play. We saw it with Russell Shepard on the reverse, and we see it right there. He gets the one-on-one matchup with a young defensive back, and he gets the ball downfield to Ruben Randall. And that young defensive back someday is going to be a good player. That's Trey Boston out of Fort Myers down Florida way. Big-time recruit. But you could see the hesitation. And he let Randall get by him. As he matures and grows up, because he's got great skills, he'll be right with him step for step. But just like Herbie told you, the inexperience starting to show. And have you ever seen a more animated offensive coordinator up in the booth? You know, Croton's been pretty heavily criticized for the play calling. Les Miles, of course, has been criticized for his clock management, especially in last year's Mississippi game. But he turned in another dandy recruiting class. This is going to be a tough team. That's the good news. That's good news for all you Tiger fans. Here's bad news. There is no tougher division in all of football than the SEC West. I'm going to tell you right now, there are no cupcakes. Well, now you got to wonder about Mississippi, but we'll see how that unfolds. So there's Boyd again, who's been put back to return kickoff, stumbling down at the 23-yard line. And Peterson
who electrified this crowd a few times.
He might be going to get an IV. He's got a 100-yard kickoff return yards, 144 yards, 244 return yards in one game.
Oh,
We're not even to halftime.
Mercy.
Get that young man an IV.
And a defensive back, they're staying away from him.
Yeah.
They're not throwing in his direction at all. You know?
We may have to work 15 weeks to find a better individual player than Patrick Peterson, if we can.
A football player, huh? Johnny White back in now for the Tar Heels. They were once ahead by 3. Okay, so now they're down by 20. And White. And it is going to be uphill for the Tar Heels, a shorthanded team. 13 players left behind. Defense decimated. Entire secondary wiped out.
Les Miles calling a timeout. He knows North Carolina is just trying to limp in with this momentum and the way it's switched in favor of LSU. He's calling a timeout here to try to get the football back.
Robert, what do you got for us in New York, my friend?
Well, Brent, Utah State has lost 12 straight season openers, but they're making things close in Norman. DeAndre Burrell to Xavier Martin. Aggies down 7. Here's another head scratcher. Kansas losing to North Dakota State by 3 in the 4th quarter.
We welcome you back to Atlanta here. Final 2 minutes of the first half. And you think about the SEC, folks, and they have won 4 consecutive BCS titles. Overall, they have won 6 of the 11. And as of right now, they are certainly the dominant conference. I don't think there's any argument about that. However, if you looked around the landscape of the Big Ten here the last few days, you could see a couple of teams starting to step out, including Ohio State. Terrell Pryor looked fine Thursday night against Marshall. He's on his way after that big Rose Bowl. Screen pass, White, nothing doing. They're just teeing up and coming, and there's their great linebacker, Kelvin Shepard, number 11.
All you need to know about Kelvin Shepard is his defensive coordinator, John Chavis, who's kind of a dean of defensive coordinators in this conference for many years with Tennessee. And Philip Fulmer said he's the most instinctive, probably the most intelligent linebacker I've ever coached. And that says it all right there. That's all I needed to hear from the chief, John Chavis.
Well, they're just teeing it up right now. And third in the SEC. Certainly another one of the young men that the NFL will be looking at. He's from not too far from here, Stone Mountain, Georgia. A senior. He thought about leaving and decided to stay there in Baton Rouge, and the coaching staff very happy to have him there. It's, boy, when you look at the LSU schedule, I mean, it is a minefield. Got this game here tonight. Of course, you got a little breathing room because of the suspensions of North Carolina. But I want you folks to take a look at this. All right. Mississippi State at home, but then West Virginia comes in. That'll be no cakewalk. Tennessee comes in, but then look, it's at Gainesville, it's at Auburn, it's Alabama at home, it's at Arkansas. I mean, it's a rough road ahead, and this is a good-looking football team. Third down for Yates. Nothing doing again. Dwight Jones makes the catch, and the defense is right there. Ron Brooks.
I think the difference, talking about this defense and this team, is there's more depth. There seems to be a great, we were around them yesterday, great chemistry. We've been hearing about it throughout all camp. The Tigers have been criticized on the offensive side, the head coach. I think if anything, it's brought this team together, and they have an attitude where they're anxious to show people that this team and this program are heading in the right direction.
Peterson gets a punt off. Here's Ruben Randall. Caught that long touchdown pass. They've got him back deep now. From the 38, gets a block, and there's an illegal block. This one's coming back, folks. This will be coming back.
Might want to consider starting to go for it on 4th down for North Carolina. It's not pretty with the youth on the cover teams tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the places, and you said it, Herbie, where you really get hurt when you lose your regular.
During
People
the return,
don't realize
illegal block in the back. Number 17 on the receiving team.
this is not the
10-yard
NFL.
penalty from the spot
You don't
of the
have
foul.
specialty
First down.
guys like that. You got to run your players out here. These teams. There it is right there.
Right in front of Randall.
Pretty obvious,
As soon as he
wasn't
made
it?
that first cut.
See, that was linebacker Claiborne. It's
Yeah.
well, those linebackers will do that from time to time, huh?
Les Miles called the timeouts. He's up by 20. He's trying to get the ball back. Now with the penalty, now he's back deep into his own territory. But still, even though he's got one timeout left, minute 4 left, I think they're going to still attack this defense and still try to get more points.
Remember, they got a kicker who hit a 57-yarder in the spring game.
Sure.
And Jordan has all day. And finally completes it at the 35-yard line. I mean, he had checked down. Well, finally
he was looking downfield to Randall again, right down the middle of the field, trying to hit a seam against his secondary. And with the youth and the inexperience in the back end,
he's up against that freshman again.
All it takes is just one throw and you're in.
Here comes Ridley, and Ridley picks up the first down. That'll stop the clock with 33 to go here. And just like you said, Herbie, LSU, you can see that line underneath the Tigers. That indicates they have one timeout remaining here. Ridley. You would have thought that maybe he would have veered over out of bounds, but he did not. Elected to turn it up, and they're going to have to hurry here.
You hear the fans getting restless.
They're going to use that.
They're up 20. They're mad at
I would dare
Les
say
with the
that Les
clock
is going to get a lot of help calling timeouts and getting it done. And that'll give us an opportunity to remind everybody that ABC has a new drama. Detroit 187 premiering on Tuesday, September 21st at 10, 9 Central. Michael Imperioli and James McDaniel. It's a cop show out of Detroit. So
you're all over that.
Yeah. Those good shows now, and you can see another great crowd on hand. There's alums of both LSU and North Carolina here in Atlanta, and of course, until the suspensions, there was so much optimism around Chapel Hill and this football team. It's just kind of devastating to some of the people who plan coming down here for Labor Day weekend. It's very tough for them.
It is, and I think you and I think it was about 8.5 minutes to go in this second quarter. North Carolina had a lead, and we looked at each other at a break like, is this happening right now?
I know.
Flip of a switch and went the other way in a hurry.
Jefferson's going to throw this away. Uh-oh, interception. And that was the youngster, Trey Boston's first interception of his career. And you folks up in Chapel Hill, you remember this. A couple years down the road, he takes care of himself, stays healthy, and stays eligible. He's going to be a real good defensive back.
He is going to be. But if I'm an LSU fan, after the year that this offense had and the year that Jordan Jefferson had as a young quarterback, I don't like to see that.
I agree.
You're up 30-10. You want to see him throw it away. You don't mind him trying to be aggressive and make something happen, but you don't want to allow him to just think that it's okay to just put the ball up into the air because it's late in the half and North Carolina's not going to be able to score, because it just teaches you bad habits. So that's one that they'll work hard with him, because you work throughout two-a-days in that 2-minute drill and making decisions and being smart with the football, and he just throws one up to the freshman defensive back.
So this will bring the first half to an end. An incomplete pass, and that'll do it. LSU takes a 20-point lead over Butch Davis and North Carolina into the locker room at the intermission. Meanwhile, Les Miles and the Tigers are smiling, and Aaron Andrews is with Coach. Let's go to Aaron.
Frank, thanks so much. It looked like UNC had a little bit of life here in the first half, but your defense figured something out. What was it?
I think our defense is playing well really throughout. They made a couple of plays, but if you look at it, the way they're running the football, that defense is stopping it.
Your offensive coordinator, Gary Cotton, said he wanted to see when Jordan Jefferson would kind of settle in. What do you think about it? How much has he settled in?
Well, I think he's certainly done the things we've asked him to do, minus the last throw of the half, and he's trying to get that out of bounds. So improved work to do.
All right. Thanks, Les. Brent.
All right, Aaron, thank you. And indeed, they did hold North Carolina to 12 rushing yards. Now let's go to our Times Square studio. John Saunders and Jesse Palmer for the Northwestern Mutual halftime report. Take it away, Big John. We welcome you back to the Chick-fil-A kickoff game at the Georgia Dome, where LSU took charge early in the second quarter, and they are now dominating a shorthanded North Carolina team 30-10. Kirby, I cannot believe in one half of returns, Patrick Peterson had 244 total yards, and then you had that great line. He went and got an IB.
You can only do so much in the first half until you need to catch a break and get an IB. Here's our Southwest playbook from the first half, and it had everything to do with the big plays. First on the reverse, Russell Shepard goes 50 yards for a big Tiger touchdown, and all of a sudden the momentum started to switch in favor of LSU. Here's a big 87-yard return, and there is the speed, and really that is the story of the first half. Patterson getting into the open field and showing what he can do. And then this is something that I think LSU fans should be really excited about. Seeing Ruben Randall get downfield vertically against a younger corner. Jefferson had time to throw. You know, LSU last year only had 2 touchdowns of 50 yards or more for the entire season. Here tonight, first half already, this LSU offense has 2 touchdowns over 50 yards.
And of course, on the special teams, with all these defensive starters missing, just think about the defensive backfield. Kendrick Burney, Denoris Searcy, Deontay Williams, and Charles Brown, they all play on various special teams for North Carolina. So the inexperience there just proved too much for the Tar Heels to overcome. And they played with a lot of spirit until early in the second quarter. And Butch Davis and the coaching staff doing what they can. But when you leave 13 behind, including 7 defensive starters, it's going to be uphill, folks.
Yeah, we've seen the inexperience and the youth exploited definitely on the special teams, and especially the coverage units more than anything else. Let's see if they are able to start the second half any better, because look who's back.
And guess who's the only one who can stop him? The kickoff man, Barth, has tackled him twice.
That or kick it out of the end zone.
Even take a penalty.
Or kick it away from him.
And that time it is kicked away from him, and they'll let Brooks come down the sideline. And it really doesn't matter who touches the ball as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary here, Herbie.
I think you have the idea. Just kick it out of bounds. But yeah, here is the Pacific Life game summary. The first half, the bottom number, 250 yards, return yards, and we're going to add to that now after what we just saw. But it was the big playability. In North Carolina, they took a lead at one point. It was 10-7 with 8.5 minutes to go in the first half. I mean, they were right in this game. And just like that, LSU made the adjustments and the big playability from their skill people, the difference in the first half as they pulled away.
Ridley will start from the pistol right next to him, and they throw right out of it. Wide open receiver across the 25. The tight end, Mitch Joseph, again.
Joseph at 265 pounds, and they want to try to attack the athletic ability and the eagerness of the linebackers. They think Ridley's going to have the ball, and there's a huge window right behind Bruce Carter, who was a little over aggressive there trying to come up to take Ridley away. Good rhythm, nice job there by Jordan Jefferson to make that nice accurate throw to Joseph.
Ridley cuts back to the right, and he crosses the 15-yard line before Bruce Carter is back there. Herbie, what's your feeling about Jordan Jefferson here tonight?
Well, I think that throughout this game there's been some inconsistent signs that again are frustrating for you. I think there are times that you watch Jordan Jefferson play, you get excited about what he can do, and overall he's 10 of 14, which is a pretty good night. That one throw right at the end of the first half, frustrated just to see him just put it up in the air and see Trey Boston intercepted.
We've got stoppage here with an injured Carolina player who's being tended to, and of course that's the other point, is that you're shorthanded here tonight. You don't have a lot of bodies on hand. Let us check in down below with Aaron Andrews. Aaron.
Brent, talking about being shorthanded, just a couple updates for you on UNC's side of the ball. Their secondary cornerback, Mywan Jackson, number 7 for all of you keeping track at home. He is out for the rest of the game with a concussion. And also, Watch out for Johnny White, tailback also for North Carolina. I saw him limping when he was coming out of the locker room at half. And by the way, speaking of halftime, talked to Butch Davis coming out, said at this point it's just one play at a time for his offense. A lot of mental mistakes there in the first half. On the offensive side of the ball, they have to do a better job of protecting TJ Yates.
Well, there you see White huddling up. And there's another one headed your way, Aaron. Zach Brown, linebacker, was shaken up on that play. And so now Jefferson will get ready here. Second and what, about a yard to go. They're across the 15-yard line, threatening right away. And so Ridley will come in. And they'll go to that power I, and they'll use the Stephen Ridley up front. They moved into that fullback spot and handed it off for the first down.
North Carolina's thinking that they have the football, but yeah, it's LSU's football. I just wanted to finish up there on Jordan Jefferson. I mean, his numbers are fine. The way he's leading this team is something you like to see. He seems to be in much more command of the offense. Remember last year when he was a sophomore, and at times I think they really struggled to get this offense to be able to find an identity. And I think this year you're starting to see with a veteran quarterback, you can start to see there's going to be a different looking offense with Jefferson in control, but he still has to avoid some of the poor decisions when he puts the ball up there into coverage.
The previous play is under further review.
So they're going to review it now and take a look. Waited a long time to decide that, didn't they? Let's take a look. Did Ridley get down?
He's fighting for those yards.
No,
Ball came
out of there. That's a fumble.
Ball came out.
That is a fumble, and that's to me looks like North Carolina football. That looks like Jordan Nix, the junior from Lawton, Oklahoma, fell on it. And
but watching that play live, I thought his knee was down, but that was a great look of it. Look at it from the crew. That ball came out. North Carolina, about the only way they probably could have stopped LSU, because they seem a little deflated emotionally after the way the first half ended. And if they're able to catch a break like that to get the ball back, that would be huge.
You know, thinking about John Blake there, who was also right in the middle of the issue involving the agent, an agent out in California that he's been very close with. And of course, that was the center of some perhaps illegal workouts on the part of Marvin Austin, at least. And so John is over there with a patchwork defensive line tonight. He has always been one of the better recruiters around college football. He was a head coach for a time down at Oklahoma. He's worked for Nebraska, and now he's here with Butch Davis, of course, at North Carolina. So the tumult could just be beginning for North Carolina. When you think about it, Butch told me yesterday that the good thing is he's got an off week next week. So we showed you the two lists, and there are 6 players that the school is not convinced that they committed anything illegally yet, but they didn't want to take any chances tonight, so they did not bring them down. They have found illegalities, whether it's NCAA violations or academic violations at North Carolina with the 7 other players, but they do have an off week to try to get ready for Georgia Tech. But that story, it seems to me, is just beginning up Chapel Hill way. Here we come.
After review, the ball was out. It was a fumble. It was recovered by North Carolina. It'll be 1st and 10 on the 12-yard line.
Sort of took them a long time. You know, it wasn't very efficient, was it, in the procedure to get that done? That seemed pretty obvious when you looked at that one replay.
When you look to see if the ball is fumbled before his knee touched, I mean, it took a matter of seconds, but maybe they were just looking at it over and over for the spot of the football. But
yeah, no question that could have been occupying some of the time. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
They got to come out. They got to come out swinging right now with this offense and Yates.
They kept Nevis blocked that time, but it's incomplete on the slant. Yeah, it's such a good point what you make here, Artie, because the youngsters are youngsters, and I'm sure that LSU feels, hey, we've got this one in hand. You can flatten out a little bit, and that's when Carolina should jump right now and move. I mean,
if you score a touchdown on this drive, you're actually right back in the game.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, there's still so much football to be played here. But it's one thing to say that from up here. It's another thing to try to execute against the Tigers defense.
Elsie in at the tailback spot. Keeping that fullback in there as a well, he's a lead blocker on this one, and Elsie ran over to the right side.
North Carolina not only having the suspensions and players not here, but they, from the very first part of this football game, making some mistakes. That's the first carry of the night that we saw by Johnny White, and he fumbled the football. And so not just having some young players, but having a chance to be able to step out and make some plays. This time they decided to bring it out, and they have just self-destructed and at times been their own worst enemy, and many times affected the momentum and just the flow of the game in favor of LSU.
Need 6 on this 3rd down. And they won't get it. Forced to punt again. Claiborne, number 17, one of the defenders there. He better get ready for a busy year. And there's a whole lot of offensive coordinators around the SEC who say, let us not throw too often in the direction of 7. Let's try 17. But he's a pretty good football player.
The problem is he has probably the best ball skills of any of the defensive backs that LSU has on it. So we might see a huge year this year by number 17, Mo Claiborne, the sophomore.
And we've got an injured.
It's like a cramp there.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, Herbie. Yeah, you've got that leg
Shepard.
up in the air.
Kelvin
Is that Shepard?
Yeah.
He's the fella who's responsible, and the coaches are very pleased with the way he positions his defenders against the offense. They say that, and I think you mentioned it the first half,
yeah,
what a bright football player he is for him. Russell Shepard out of Houston.
One thing about what he can do is play all 3 of the linebacker spots. And he's the only linebacker that came back. Kelvin Shepard, the only linebacker that came back this year that has the experience and the leadership. So
I bid on the mistake. That's Kelvin, and he's from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Right.
It's the other youngster who's from the Houston area.
Little cramp here. He's going to try to walk it off and hopefully be back for the Tigers defense next time they're out there on the field.
Well, here comes. You really have to think you've got to try to punt this out of bounds. They're going to give Peterson a break and let Randall return a second one. And remember now, Randall got loose on a 51-yard reception in the first half, so he's got some ability back here too. Yeah, it is out of bounds.
There we go.
And there will be a derisive cheer from the Carolina fans. That's enough of that return stuff, and we'll take a timeout. LSU leads it by 20. First weekend of college football, and we've got ESPN Saturday Night Football from Atlanta, Georgia. Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. LSU of the SEC with a big lead here, and the football back. And there is Russell Shepard moving close. He'll get the handoff. He has electrified this crowd a couple of times here tonight. And now for today's big picture, brought to you by Sony. Herbie, some huge stories.
Some interesting stories in week 1. Florida State looks really good today in their first game ever without, or not ever, but the first game in a long time without Bobby Bowden. How about the Big House today and what Michigan was able to do against UConn? Of course, led by Denard Robinson. First game for Brian Kelly in South Bend, knocking off Purdue. And the biggest upset by far of the opening weekend, Jacksonville State upsetting Ole Miss and Houston Nutt. Shocker.
Second down. Jefferson. And that is short of the first down. He handed it off to Richard Murphy. And in case you didn't hear or see the scroll on this one, Oregon 72, New Mexico nothing. And our Brian Mobilson, who's working up there in Eugene, he texted George Hill and says the Duck mascot will need to get stronger because he can't do that many push-ups.
That's a long day for the Duck.
That is a long day indeed. Jefferson on this 3rd and 6. Short of the first down.
North Carolina's defense again just doing what they can here to try to give their offense and their team a glimmer of hope. You know, that, by the way, real quick on that Oregon game, LaMichael James was not playing today, and we better look out for Kenyon Barner. There's a lot of talk out in Eugene that Kenyon Barner and LaMichael James could be in the backfield together, and Barner went crazy today.
Who played quarterback?
Darren Thomas.
He did. He must have done a good job at 72-0. Here's Jasper, and he hangs his punt. Harrelson, I believe, is back deep. And he lets it go into the end zone. Did he kick it out?
Oh, wow.
Wow, what a punt. What a punt. It looked like it was headed into the end zone, and he backed it up. Watch this, folks.
Looks like your wedge.
Wow. Right on there. Now make the putt. Come on. The Georgia Aquarium, one of the great aquariums in this country. And man, can you have a good time taking a look at all that sea life over there. So here we are in the shadow of their own goal line, and Elsie breaks free. Fine run out to the 8-yard line, and Matthew making the stop for the Tigers. During that commercial break, you pointed out that Patrick Peterson getting a blow in that secondary right now.
Yeah, they're playing a true freshman, Tyrann Mathieu. Look at the last few series. He's been out there quite a bit on the other side of Mo Claiborne and giving Peterson a little bit of a blow. He's done so much work. There's Nevis now coming off, and it's one of the characteristics I think we're going to see. A little bit more depth for the Tigers, and John Chavis being able to rotate a lot of different bodies in there, a lot of youth in that second unit.
Yeah, with a score like this and dominating, they can afford to take a look at some of their youngsters. Elsie in 2 runs picks up a first down. Craig Lawston, redshirt freshman from the Houston area, making the stop. Notice that Ryan Mallett had a big day. 300-yard game. He had completed over 20 passes. I suppose we should put him in there among the elite quarterbacks this year.
No question about that.
And we got an injured player down.
You talked about the depth. Yep. It's Brandon Taylor.
Brandon Taylor.
You talked about the depth of the SEC West this year, and you know, you always have LSU, and you're always going to have Alabama, and Auburn could be good this year. There's been a lot of talk out of Fayetteville that Arkansas, with Ryan Mallett, all of his weapons from a year ago, that they're back and that they're going to be a team to look out for. Week 4, I believe, Alabama, big conference game, goes to Arkansas.
Okay.
And we might find out a lot about Alabama, and I know we'll see them against Penn State, but as far as a conference game, that'll be a big one.
And, you know, Auburn, Gene Chizik, be bringing that franchise back, that's for sure.
I think Auburn can be a team that could win the West. You know, I think that last year in Chizik's first year, they got a little bit of a taste of what it takes to compete. Their defense is going to be much better, I think, this year. And big Cam Newton, the backup to Tim Tebow 2 years ago in Gainesville, won a junior college national championship last year. He's going to run Gus Malzahn's offense for Auburn. So they're also a team. Those 4 teams. And Mississippi State with Dan Mullen, they're scoring points.
Yeah, the former offensive coordinator, Herbie mentioned back in the first half with the Florida Gators. So here's Yates after that first down. And they're coming right back with Elsie, and they're starting to rip some holes in that defensive front. Now, Chavis will have to talk to those big fellas.
Well,
this is not over yet.
Yeah, they're getting some movement, not just up front, but they're doing a good job at the second level, getting a push on the linebackers. And when you can move the linebackers and you give a big back like Elsie a little bit of running room, he's going to be able to pick up some big yards. What this does, not only does it move them away from their own end zone, eventually they're going to go to a play-action pass. They're going to try to get these LSU safeties to commit up to the run and then try to sneak behind them with a pass.
Handing off again to Elsie. The helmet goes flying, and that looked like an LSU helmet, too. I'm going to tell you right now, yes, indeed, Big 95, Mr. Livingston, had that helmet knocked off down there now. He's coming off to the sideline.
Brent, you touched on something. At 30-10, yeah, there is a tendency in a college game to maybe let off the accelerator a little bit, and it does give the other team a chance emotionally. If they can not give up and keep fighting, it gives them a little bit of a chance to try to get back into the game. It's not the same LSU front 7 that we've watched most of this game tonight.
Shepard wants to come. And they had the right play call. Let us go to Robert Flores in New York. Robert? All right, Robert, thank you. And this North Carolina drive began back at the 1-yard line, and they have moved out to the 40 for another first down, and just keeping it right on the ground. And Herbie, I think you would have called the play action right there. I get the feeling that when you backed up into the pocket next to me, that you were ready to wing it.
I'm just waiting. You know it's coming. I've been impressed with this drive. How can you not be? I mean, they've lined up in 2 tight ends back at their own 1-yard line, and they are just mashing LSU right up the middle of this defense. And now LSU's starting to try to move some personnel in there to give them a little bit more size to try to slow down this running game.
This is a 2nd and long now. There is the move the pocket play action, throws for the first down. Nice strike to Boyd. Boyd's been his go-to deep man. Scored a big touchdown, and so number 87.
And Boyd's a deep threat, so Brooks has to respect that. And the timing here between Yates and Boyd and the experience that they gained a year ago pays off for him. Right there, again, seeing Yates, when he gets into rhythm, he can be a dangerous thrower. And that's where this is where LSU's defense, I think we saw earlier in the game, they got back a little bit on their heels because of a balanced attack and an aggressive attack from North Carolina.
First down and 10. See, down. Let's check in down below. Ball comes loose. Ball comes loose. LSU, but they're saying he's down. Shaw seemed to be right on top of that. Take a look at this.
Looked like it might have been forward progress where Elsie's fighting for yards. Big hit there by Shepard.
Now the strip.
Yeah, on the backside there, LeVar Edwards is trying. I think they're just calling that forward progress. Called him down there.
Whistled him down,
yes,
right?
Yes, sir.
There was no question that was a good strip.
Elsie, by the way, just walking off the field. I think he's more fatigued than anything. And that's where you get back to the lack of depth here because of losing your top 2 tailbacks. Big concern for even trying to be a power running team. So
they go 2nd down and 10.
Delay a game.
Yeah. And they had, because of that,
delay of game,
their other runner, Hunter Furr, is a sophomore running back, is on the field right now. Let's check in down below with Aaron Andrews. Aaron?
A couple things, guys. You talked about lack of depth there on the running backs, tailbacks. We still haven't seen Johnny White here this whole entire drive here. What it looks like a right ankle injury. He's limping around pretty good. And I don't know where North Carolina found this life here because as soon as they came out of the tunnel at halftime, they were dead. This sideline is still pretty dead right now, but this is waking them up a little bit.
Hearing that Johnny White is not coming back is not a good sign.
In trouble and sacked. Josh Downs, sophomore from Louisiana, sacks Yates.
Big Josh Downs with Drake Nevis and Michael Brockers. Livingston, they've got 4 that they can rotate and feel very, very good about. And this is the SEC, and there's the speed of the defensive lineman chasing down a quarterback from behind and bringing him down. How about Aaron telling us, we've talked a lot about the first-string tailback. Drone is out. He's not here, not dress suspended. Houston's out. Third-string tailback now, Johnny White, it looks like he's not coming back. They're down to their 4th and 5th-string running backs.
3rd and a bunch. And they'll just gain a few yards and bring the punter on. A few words being exchanged. Some of the receivers working downfield with the against the DBs. A little barking going on. Nothing serious. And Mr. Peterson has returned. What did I give him? 244.
244.
First half. Kickoff and punt return. Here he comes now. On the move. And this time they seal him up on the sideline and he steps out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And did we see a
North Carolina had a player running onto the field as they were snapping the ball. I don't know if it was movement or.
Yep.
See Boyd coming onto the field up at the top of the screen. Some confusion getting back to, again, even though Boyd's an experienced player, special teams tonight, just really hurting North Carolina. Entire game.
Yeah, you look at the total yards, Herbie, offensively, and it's not that one-sided. It's 236 LSU, 201 North Carolina. Obviously, the turnovers have been in LSU's favor. They lead that +2. Let's take a timeout.
Now it's serious.
Well, we welcome you back. And earlier tonight, Chick-fil-A donated $50,000 to the scholarship funds of both LSU and North Carolina. Steve Robinson, the chief marketing officer at Chick-fil-A, presenting the checks to the chancellor, Holden Thrope of UNC, and Chancellor Mike Martin of LSU. You know, Chick-fil-A has a long history of promoting education. They have awarded over $25 million in college scholarships. That's $25 million. Chick-fil-A, and yeah, we enjoy a little Chick-fil-A tonight, too. Always love coming around this game. Those rascals bring us some sandwiches. That's good.
Oh, yeah. Nothing better.
Well, the college football season is with us. And LSU in control and with the ball back, running the toss play with Ridley, stretching it out, and we got a couple of yards. And, you know, you look ahead to next Saturday. You think about what's going on today. We have a monster, and I mean a monster Saturday coming your way. Florida State, Herbie told you about that great performance today. They go down to Norman. How about Michigan rolling into South Bend to play the Irish? And then up in Herbie's town, Columbus. They get it better than Miami and Ohio State. Oregon, after scoring 72 today, they go to Tennessee. And Herbie, you and I, Joe Pa and Penn State at Alabama. And that'll be a dandy in Tuscaloosa. Game day going to be with us. Jefferson wants to air it out, going long, and almost intercepted. I told you Trey Boston had athletic ability, and he was back there, number 10. True freshman.
I think Boston and also Jabari Price, both freshman defensive backs, do have enough talent to be able to take this defense to the level that they expect him to be, but it's the inexperience. But he's played well tonight.
I went to the managers when they unload the equipment. I said, guys, rally up. Give me a freshman to watch. You guys have watched practice all at Chapel Hill. Tell me. They said Trey Boston. None of them even hesitated. They said he's got all kinds of athletic ability. 3rd down and 7. Oh, Ridley is buried in the backfield. What a fine defensive play by Copels.
Copels has been the guy really for North Carolina's defensive front, number 90. You know, he's a defensive end that has moved to the inside as a defensive tackle, and that's why you see him at 6'6", 275. Big time athlete as a junior.
Big John Blake, he liked that play by Copels. Yes, indeed.
North Carolina defense has made some plays here. Second half, they've done what they can to try to stay in this game.
Well, Harrelson, 90. Start of a big, busy weekend here in Atlanta. A lot of excitement about the Braves being in first place. NASCAR. They also let this one go out of bounds. Speaking of NASCAR, Dale Jarrett said, come on, Aaron Andrews. Put on that suit and let's go. Let's go racing.
How fast? Aaron, how fast?
I love it.
I want to see.
Great. With donuts? No, I'm kidding. 170.
170? Are you serious?
Okay, 185. No, 170. That's the fastest track, Del Jarrett told me. And get this, forget about working out, forget about dancing with the stars. If you wear one of those fire suits, Dale Jarrett told me he's lost 17 pounds before in that thing.
Oh my God.
Forget about crunches. Just wear a fire suit. Good to go.
You got you a new workout.
It was amazing.
This is Hunter Farr checking in, and of course the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series heads back south. We talked about this 7:30 p.m. on Sunday right here in Atlanta. So that'll be something to watch with those fellas. Coming down the stretch again. 2nd down and 11. And you can see that Elsie needed a little break. Now back off. Inside of 2 minutes here in the 3rd quarter. Delay, and it didn't delay that front of LSU. And that's Brockers making another play. He's made a couple of plays.
Yeah, Brocker's going to be a big-time player. He's only a freshman. The one thing about this offense, anytime you're going to have any chance at all of attacking LSU because of their strength and the quickness that they have on the perimeter defensive back, they can lock you down. Until you can prove to them that you can consistently beat them and beat their pass coverage, you cannot afford to just simply try to be physical and run the football. They have too many guys up close to the line of scrimmage.
With the game going the way it is, Chavis able to use a lot of players. There's a freshman corner, number 14, Tyrann Mathieu, who is there instead of his superstar Peterson. He's getting a lot of snaps here tonight. And Peterson now comes onto the field. He said, I got this punt return. Here comes number 7, folks. Chance to get the SEC mark, huh? Here we go now. And if North Carolina is smart, they'll kick this baby out of bounds. You had to let it go. Good punt. Patrick didn't have a shot at it. And so Oregon State Monday night, 8 o'clock. Virginia Tech and Landover. Murphy checks in here as the running back. Option. You know, in watching Jefferson run the option, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm really assigning somebody to him. It looks to me like he likes to take off a lot of the times without really giving that tailback a chance.
A little selfish there, huh? He wants to hold on to the rock.
And he likes that rock.
You know, he's up to 225 pounds. I think he's running with more authority and more confidence this year.
Big John Blakey getting his defensive lineman ready here now. 2nd down and 6. There's the read option, but it was stopped. Line judge had thrown a flag prior to the snap.
Before the snap, false start.
So that'll
Number
cost the
72
Tigers
on the
5.
offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
We asked Les Miles and Gary Croton, the offensive coordinator, about Russell Shepard maybe being the wildcat quarterback this year, and they said, you know, we feel really good about Jordan Jefferson being our wildcat quarterback because he could throw the football, but he's getting better and better with his decision making, and if you can get him to become a threat to go along with Ridley and Richard Murphy in the running game, boy, this becomes even that much more of a dangerous offense.
They handed off to Shepard this time, though, Herbie, and get him over wide, and he just tripped up.
I think as this year continues for LSU, they're going to continue to try to find different ways to use Shepard and get him the football.
Yeah,
just get him in space.
Yeah. Because he's dangerous anytime he touches.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll take a timeout. LSU up 20 at the end of the 3rd quarter. We welcome you back to the 4th quarter. Little hop and a step over there by the LSU band. That team is ahead of North Carolina by 20. And Jordan Jefferson fires for a 1st down. Terrence Tolliver has not found him much tonight. He's Brandon LaFell was their go-to guy last year, and I think a lot of people thought Tolliver might step in there, but now they've got Russell Shepard. They've got Ruben Randall, who they've gone too deep. So they are very talented at the receiver position. So our first Saturday of college football, and Jefferson reaches out for that one. Well, Herbie, let me see how you did. You were really. Can you take the other side?
I'll tell you after this play. I'll tell you right here.
What goes on with you guys?
No, I'm going to tell you right now.
If my friends are serious, you know what I'm saying? Here comes Ridley, and he picks up the 1st down.
Here's my problem, America. Lee Corso picks every favorite favorite team.
Okay.
So out of all those picks, 4 of those were underdogs that I picked, and 2 of the friends of the clubhouse twice were happy, even though those were marked as wrong.
Okay, got it.
So if you know what I mean. So Lee, you really
I do know what you mean.
So anyway, I'm going to start picking the favorite every week. I'm just going to start picking a favorite.
But all the favorites don't always win all these games, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But if I would have picked the favorite every
really slips coming to the line of scrimmage.
It's go time now.
Somebody get this right. You're 2-4. We're blaming
3
Lee
and 4.
Corso.
3 and 4.
3 of them. Okay.
After Cincinnati.
If Cincinnati holds on.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
And the other 2 of those wrongs are right if you're a friend of Brent.
We ain't going any further than that. Yeah, my good friend who lives out in Las Vegas, I was with him at the Little League World Series, Oral Hershiser. And he's a big fan of all the games. So he's done a great job on working on Sunday Night Baseball. And he's a big fan. I know he's watching this one tonight. And taking it out of bounds is Jordan Jefferson as they continue to come on down the field.
Speaking of Oral Hershiser.
Yes.
How about the Cincinnati Reds this year?
Oh, that's a great story.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Dusty Baker and that team.
How can you not be a fan of that ball club?
I think what we should do, we had Aaron Andrews. We had Aaron Andrews in a NASCAR. Aaron, I think we should send Herbie down to Cincinnati and let him have an at-bat against Aroldis Chapman.
I would love to see him.
104 lefty.
Hey, Herbie, I know you would like to hear this. We've been talking about Twitter and everything and trending, which congratulations, game day was a big topic, big trending topic on Twitter. You know what else was?
What?
It's Beyonce's birthday today.
Beyonce did it again to me. Randall picks up a first down, and the Tigers are moving. Now, folks, I have to take the blame on this one. I don't want you saying that Aaron didn't know it was Beyonce. A few years back, I was listening to Kenny Chesney, and I wasn't paying any attention to Beyonce. But I have learned, trust me.
You've learned. It's no longer Beyonce for you?
No,
it's Beyonce.
No. We're way beyond that.
Good.
Here comes Jefferson incomplete. He was looking to drop it off to Ridley. And we're having too much fun, I'll tell you that. What a season this is going to be. Stay tuned now after the game. Late local news over most of these ABC stations. Over on ESPN, of course. Go to SportsCenter. Post-game analysis, as well as today's scores and highlights. And wow, the season is underway. Notre Dame comes up big under Brian Kelly. Michigan, they have found a quarterback, and guess what? They go against each other. Joe Paterno, you know, Joe Pa, he beat LSU in a bowl game in Orlando last year, and we will see him go down into SEC territory again next Saturday night against Coach Saban and the defending national champion Crimson Tide. And Jefferson keeps it again on that read option, crossing the 20-yard line. He's got a great quick first step.
You know, the big area that he struggled last year, this is amazing to think that this offense took so much criticism, 112th in the nation, but they're breaking in the second youngest quarterback in the history of this school. Y.A. Tittle's the only quarterback to ever play at LSU that ever played when he was younger than what Jordan Jefferson went through. But he had a tendency to not be able to read the defenses, but he was just worried about what his own players were doing, and a lot of times he'd come off of his reads and he just was indecisive. You can see him tonight much more comfortable and in command of this offense.
Third down. And Ridley muscles his way, breaks for the end zone. Touchdown. There is a penalty flag, so hang on this one. Hang on. Back at the line of scrimmage.
Like T-Bob Abear was trying to state his case to one of the officials.
Holding, number 53 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat third down.
So coming back.
What a good run there by Ridley.
Yes, it was.
You know, that was the area that LSU really had problems. Keelan Williams and Charles Scott last year battling through injuries. Ridley came on late to be able to play, but I think the quickness combined with a passing game gives them nice balance, and they're a little bit more explosive this year than they were last year.
Jefferson standing tall. And that might be a flag on that one. There was no receiver there.
No.
That's intentional grounding. He had an offensive lineman. That was Abear, who was over in the area. And there's no receiver in that area. He was straight back. I think it's a pretty easy call.
Sure.
Intentional grounding. Number 9 on the offense. Lost him down at the spot of the foul.
And we just talked about how he's improving, and with that improvement, it's going to be a few steps back from time to time. And that's what he did last year. He'd have a tendency to hold on to the football too long, and eventually, a lot of times last year, they would end up sacking him. 37 sacks a year ago. And that time he just held. If it's not there, make a decision and get rid of the ball.
You feel for him because he threw that. Remember that interception at the end of the half?
Yeah.
And you know that Croton said in that situation, just get it down. So in the ground, but he forgot to tell him, make sure there's a receiver in the area and not just your offensive lineman. Here's Jasper. He's been very busy. And of course, Harrelson has replaced Bernie and Cersei, 2 of the suspended players, as a punt returner. And there's a fair catch inside the 10-yard line, back at the 5. Special teams have killed North Carolina. Just killed them here tonight. One of the most lopsided special teams performance that I've seen, and there is a flag. So let us see what happens here. Clearly, it was thrown downfield. Steve Shaw did not throw it.
During the kick, personal foul, number 36 on the receiving team. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. It'll be 1st and 10.
2.5. I mean, the misery on the special teams just continues here tonight. And we'll take a break and we'll come back. So this North Carolina drive will start at the 3, and 2 other drives began at the 1 and the 4-yard line. Yates has Elzy behind him. And they're going to throw out of the end zone on 1st down. Going to go deep. Going to go for it all. And he's got the speedster out on top. Here comes Bird. Jay Bird, 97 yards. Touchdown, Carolina.
Brent, you remember the last time North Carolina was pinned deep inside their own territory? They ran the football, this time using play action. And how about the move by Boyd? A little stutter and go, a little out and go, completely fooling the LSU defense. That time, Claiborne bit on the out cut, which Boyd has been running a lot. And when he slowed down to hesitate as a receiver, Claiborne jumped on it to the outside and made it very easy for Boyd to get right by him. And what a great throw that time for the touchdown.
And Barth adds it. Tell you what's interesting about Boyd's night. A 97-yard touchdown on top of his 75-yarder. What a night. We have just witnessed the longest play from scrimmage in North Carolina history. 97 yards to Jay Boyd, a sophomore from Gastonia, North Carolina, who has also scored on a 75-yard touchdown. And now they keep it on the ground. Brooks will scoot over and pick it up. They kept it out of Peterson's hands, and some decent coverage that time. It has been a night of big plays, Herbie. Let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, North Carolina had a 10-7 lead about halfway through the 2nd quarter. The game changed, and what happened was Shepard got loose on a reverse for a big touchdown. The next time LSU got their hands on the ball, Patrick Peterson went 87 yards on a punt return, and all of a sudden the momentum definitely started to switch in favor of LSU. Next time they get the football, Ruben Randall, 51-yard touchdown, and it looked like at 30-10 this game might be over, but North Carolina's been doing everything that they can defensively to stay in this game in the 2nd half to give them a chance.
30-17 now, and they snap it off to Shepard. Well, let's go back and let me correct myself. That first one did not go for a touchdown. This one certainly did.
It was a great call. Number 17, Claiborne, who's chasing down Boyd and trying to catch up with him, bit on the out and it was a little pump fake by the quarterback. Yates does a nice job of waiting just long enough, and once Boyd broke to the outside, he's all by himself, nobody else there. And after the night that Boyd has had, see 4 receptions and 191 yards with a touchdown. It's not a bad average, is it? Close to 50 yards a catch.
So here is Jefferson in the pistol again. On a read, hands it off, and Ridley barges, and there's a penalty flag late. I wonder if that's a face mask down there. Holding, they're going to say.
LSU self-destructing themselves here the last couple series with holding calls. T-Bob Hebert on the last one.
That had a touchdown call back.
Number 64 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
It's time to center Lonergan. It's LSU offense in the second half. And I understand they've had a 20-point lead and you call the game a little bit differently. But coming into this drive, they've had 21 plays and only 79 yards. So it's not far-fetched with 9.5 minutes to go here to assume that North Carolina's defense, they can get this football back to Yates and company. Never know.
Second down and 12 now. Tolliver and Randall out wide. Steps away from the rush and is short of the first down as Bruce Carter came over along with Zach Brown, and they sandwiched quarterback.
Right now you can see Ruben Randall going one-on-one against the freshman Price. Incidental contact, they both go down. And the problem is it was his primary receiver. Randall was the guy that Jordan Jefferson wanted to get to the ball to, and this is his problem. He's still working to get through it. When his primary receiver either falls or he's covered, he has a tendency to panic and start to look for that scramble instead of going through his progressions.
2 freshmen on the corners. 3rd and 5 and a penalty flag.
Legal substitution. 12 guys on the field. Another guy trying to run off. Too many people.
Substitution violation on the offense. Breaking the huddle with 12 people.
Again, self-destruction.
Not looking good right now. Not looking sharp. Digging themselves into a hole here.
Can't lose your aggressive attitude just because you get a commanding lead. 30-10. You know, in the NFL with a clock that continues to move after first downs, it's one thing. But in the college game where the clock stops pretty often, it can give a team that's down. Gary Croton right there in the middle of the screen wants to see this offense continue to attack. But when the clock stops a little bit more in the college games, it gives that team that's trailing a chance to get back in the game. Huge play.
Jefferson. Randall, no first down. LSU forced a punt. Carter again over there, number 54. Big fella making an impact.
He sure is. That time able to get pressure with just rushing 4. Able to play soft zone coverage behind it, keep everything in front of the defense, and then once the ball is thrown underneath, you're able to come up and make a play.
Derek Helton, the senior punter. Back deep is Harrelson again. Makes the catch at the 33-yard line. So Carolina trailing at 30-17. You're watching Saturday Night Football on ABC. Number 17, Morris Claiborne, will watch his teammates. A freshman has replaced him. Remember, he bid on that last touchdown pass to Boyd. Peterson is back at one corner, and Tyrann Mathieu goes to the other. And another freshman, Eric Reed, is back there with Brandon Taylor. There are 2 true freshmen in that secondary. Yates will see what he can do. Flashes it underneath first. And Pianalto, the tight end, was wide open. And here they come against this young secondary.
Love to see North Carolina's offense spreading out the field and trying to find the matchup. Pianalto is a guy who's been able to make a lot of plays tonight. It's his 4th catch. And when he gets matched up against a linebacker, that's a matchup that North Carolina feels very favorable about because he always is able to find a hole against this LSU defense tonight.
So Carolina into LSU territory. Yates has the call at the line. And he'll hand it off. LZ has been a bit of a workhorse for him in that backfield here today. And he's a converted fullback for the night. He had played tailback early in his career at Carolina, Herbie.
I think it's important to just sprinkle in just enough runs to make LSU know that you're not just to the point in the game where you're just going to throw it every play. They've got 272 passing yards, 46 rushing yards, so they're not having a lot of success running, but just enough of it to show LSU that you're going there, and then get back to Yates throwing that football.
LZ's the running back. Yates is going to throw it again. Has to throw it away. Ryan Taylor was covered underneath. He took a long look at him.
Ryan Taylor's 6'3", 245 pounds, kind of a tight end H-back. And he doesn't have the speed to be able to break away from the safeties that are matched up with him there.
Jay Boyd has been the big target here out of Gastonia. His uncle was a great tight end at Oklahoma, Keith Jackson. On the slant, they come back the other side away from him. So a very well thrown ball that time. And Joshua Adams, a 6'4" redshirt freshman.
Josh Adams coming into the game with that size at 6'4". He was all the way to the bottom of the screen, and he got into the inside. And the thing that surprised you there, and I know you talked about the true freshman, Tyrann Mathieu, he gave him a cushion. And because of giving that cushion, it made it very easy to break into the inside without any distraction whatsoever.
Now the tailback motions out toward that freshman corner. Yates, though, looks the other way, and Peterson cannot prevent the completion to Boyd again. So it's number 7 matched up with 97.
How about Boyd?
87, let me check that.
Yeah, how about Boyd going up against Peterson? This is a big matchup for two guys that have had individual big nights tonight. Individually, they've had some big nights. But Yates is in a little bit of a rhythm right now, and I think he's feeling really good about things. Now you start to look at the clock. You got to remember North Carolina still has 3 timeouts to go, and how tough it is to score on LSU once you move the ball into the red zone.
Second down. Fumble, the snap, and recovered by the fullback. Again, Yates, as he pulled out, did not have control. Ramsey saved the day by recovering that fumble. On their first 4 plays, if you've joined us late, they turned it over on fumbles early in this game, Harvey.
Third time that we've seen an exchange problem between Jonathan Cooper, the center, the sophomore, and the senior, T.J. Yates. Now, there's a lot of respect up front, but Cooper's got to be able to first and foremost get the ball up to Yates.
And Claiborne comes in and replaces Peterson. No, I've checked that. Peterson is still in, and he's showing blitz. Peterson trying to get through. Yates protected, got to throw it. Not there. So they move Peterson up to blitz him. Coming off the corner, they put heat on. And this will bring up a 4th down for Carolina. They trail at 30-17. 4:11 to go. They've got to go, obviously, on 4th down. So here we go. A slot over to the left. Peterson moves up on the slot receiver. Yates looks the other way. Throws the slant to the youngster, and I believe it'll depend on the spot.
It's Adams again. Brent down to the bottom. They're going to give him the first down. Same exact look. Good job by Yates looking off to his left and trying to at some point realize that he's got the matchup that he wants back over to the right. And again, it's Mo Claiborne, who Boyd beat earlier on that long touchdown. And they're getting to the inside of these LSU defensive backs almost every single time that they want for the quick slant.
They now flop Claiborne and Peterson. Yates will drop it off in underneath. And there was Ryan Taylor, and Shepard The fine linebacker in pursuit of him.
LSU or North Carolina and Butch Davis running down the sideline, calling their first of 3 timeouts. I tell you what, no matter what happens here, everything that's happened in North Carolina over the last 3 or 4 weeks, all the distractions, everything they've dealt with, you got to be proud of Butch Davis and the heels and the way they're battling.
You bet. Yates has thrown for more than 300 yards here tonight, Herbie. We'll take a break. With Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Brett Musburger. It's hard to believe, but LSU has not scored this half. They lead at 30-17. Carolina has outscored them this half, 7-0. They're driving again. 2nd down and 4. Snapping it off again. Coming in underneath using the tight end. Pianalto. And he's had a big night.
Yeah, Pianalto continues to be the guy. If you're gonna put a defender on his face and you're gonna give him a free release with his size and athletic ability at 6'4", 250 pounds, he's going to be able to win that matchup. And he and Yates have played so much football together that they really seem to be in tune with one another and where he'll be in the pockets of the zone defense.
Here is 1st and goal. Oh, the tackle moved. It was right guard Travis Bond, I believe, who pulled out number 76. And that is a costly 5 yards down there.
For the snap, false start, number 76 on the offense, 5-yard penalty.
When you're going to use a hard count to try to draw off an athletic front four, you've got to be disciplined up front. And what you're seeing from Yates is just trying to mix up the calls with at the line of scrimmage, the cadence. And by doing that, you got to have that offensive line anchor in and be disciplined. And that time, as you said, it cost him 5.
Now Yates has got to throw for it, you would think. 1st and goal from back around the 14-yard line. A late shift by the defensive front. Put a nose man over. Going to fade it. Adams, incomplete.
Adams has had success to the slant. This time, it's against Peterson. And I think he gave him a little bit of an inside move, and they thought that they might get Peterson to commit to the inside. And a pretty physical matchup there. And you got Peterson, who's one of the better corners in college football, 6'1", about 220 pounds, going up against Adams, who's a big guy at 6'4", 200 pounds, and a little pushing and shoving.
2nd down and goal.
Adams down at the bottom again. He's had some success down there.
From the gun, incomplete. Threw a little bit behind his target that time. He had Todd Harrelson slanting.
I know Yates is trying to mix things up, and Harrelson hasn't played a lot of football tonight. But the matchup that he could continue to exploit, I think, is he's got Adams down at the bottom, and now they move Jay Boyd down to the bottom against Mo Claiborne. And that's a matchup that Yates has liked, going after Claiborne. He's had some success here in the 2nd half going up against him.
Peterson again has crept up to the line of scrimmage, showing blitz. They've got the corner up on the line. He's in the sprinter stance. Here he comes. Tries to come around. Can't get there. Throw end zone. Touchdown. Eric Highsmith. The 2nd fourth-quarter touchdown for the Tar Heels. Young Casey Barth, the junior from Wilmington, tacks it on, and Carolina now has outscored LSU in the 2nd half 14-0.
He's the slot receiver, 88 Highsmith. Look at the double move again. He doesn't even need the pump fake. He's matched up one-on-one with Taylor. Taylor starts to come up because, remember, it's 3rd down. He's thinking they're just going for an easy completion. But Yates does a good job stepping up into the pocket, showing the patience, and giving Highsmith enough time to do that double move, get to the back of the end zone. And how about the touch by T.J. Yates? Here's a guy that's been criticized and talked about the whole summer. Where's Brent Renner? When's he going to get in? Yates showing a lot of maturity and a lot of guts tonight for this Tar Heel team.
You bet. This is Under the circumstances and with what has gone on before and in the first half, this is a tremendous performance by the Tar Heels. Everybody can be proud of the youngsters who showed up and played here tonight, because there was no quit. Not a bit.
And this LSU offense hasn't done anything in the second half. Now you wonder, is it the onside kick? Are they going to have confidence with 2 timeouts that they can kick it deep and get off the field with a 3 and out? How much time would that leave you?
Barth,
onside kick, you got to believe here.
The hands people are on the field for LSU. You better believe that right now. You see one of their fine wide receivers, Tolliver, all across the board out there, guys who can handle the football. Short. It didn't go 10 yards, I don't believe. Carolina may have recovered it, but I'm not sure it's legal. Let's let the officials sort this out.
There's not a flag. And I'm with you, Brent. They look to be
They gave it to Carolina.
But, Brent, I think there was contact before the ball went 10 yards. But there's not a flag down.
That is Elsie who came up with the football. And so here we go.
And Les Miles is fired up. And he should be. This appeared to be contact here before the ball. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Ball didn't have, not only did it not have a chance to get 10 yards.
That football's got to go 10 yards.
Oh, yeah. Big time contact. Taylor from North Carolina got through there.
However, let's keep in mind that the LSU player stepped out
and
handled it, and then he got hit.
This is interesting. No call here.
Elsie came out, and you better believe instant replay will take a look at this.
The instant replay will take a look. The one thing you wonder about, Brent, is the LSU defender moving towards.
Exactly. He touches it.
Towards the North Carolina special teams unit.
There's no question who touched the ball first. It was LSU. Time remaining on the clock, 2.5 minutes. Plenty of time if they've got the. That was a great play by Ramsey.
I think that's what has Les Miles frustrated right there. The fact that Taylor is coming in with the physical contact before his man had a chance to catch the football.
And Blue was his man. Alfred Blue is one of the young running backs for Les. He had came across. There was no question he lit him up. When Carolina gets the ball, they'll be 60 yards away.
You talked about the ball hitting the LSU player, and I don't think I don't think there's any question about that.
There's no question. He stepped across.
There's no doubt about it.
And handled the ball. Here we come.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Okay.
It'll be first down.
No question. Once he establishes that he has handled the football, he becomes fair game.
Okay. I think, like I said, I think the thing that has Les Miles livid is the fact that his player didn't even have a chance to receive the ball without being hit by Taylor coming through to knock him down like a Mack truck.
Absolutely. He did rip into him. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Elsie's the running back.
2 timeouts left for North Carolina.
They've gone empty. Slant. First down. Tight end. Zach Pianalto again. Pianalto with a big time game here tonight. A half dozen receptions for 59 yards.
I'm surprised LSU's not walking a linebacker up to try to slow him down off the line of scrimmage.
North Carolina's touchdowns on their last 2 drives only scored the second half. Yates will take this one. Now he'll throw it late. Incomplete.
And this is where you would think Yates' experience would pay off for North Carolina, because he's going up against an athletic but still very inexperienced in some key spot LSU defense. But Yates has been around the block. This is his 4th year in starting for North Carolina. You'd think he's look, there's 2:11 left to go in the game, and I know they need a touchdown, but there's no reason to panic if you're Yates. You got 2 timeouts. You're already in plus territory, in LSU territory, with a chance to get points. That was a great decision to just throw the football away there.
2nd down for Carolina. In underneath, complete, short of the 1st down. And they come back to Joshua Adams. Boy, did they find a fine receiver here in the 2nd half.
Great big target at 6'4".
Now here's your 3rd down. Obviously this 4-down situation with the clock right now and trailing. Yates fires incomplete, and it has come down to this 4th down.
That time Yates telegraphing that pass from the very second that he got to snap. He's looking up the big tight end again, Pianalto. And I think the linebacker Shepard just followed his eyes. He didn't look him off. He stared him down the whole way. And allowed Shepard to slide over, and Francois, the linebackers, to read his eyes and get the hands up and knock that ball away.
Here comes your 4th down.
Look at the cushion down at the bottom, Brent.
There's room to pick up the 1st down. Let's see what Yates does. He's under pressure. Fumble! Scooped up. And LSU's got it. Matthew rolled in.
High risk, high reward defense from LSU. The true freshman, Tyrann Mathieu, comes from the blind side on the corner blitz. Nobody picked him up, and with the pocket moving to the right because of the pressure, I think he underestimated the speed of Mathieu. The sad part is we talked about the cushion to the bottom. He had an open receiver, and if he saw him, he had a 1st down. Gutsy call by John Chavis there with a blitz.
And Mingo recovered it. And now they'll keep it on the ground with Ridley barging right straight ahead. And they'll keep running the clock out. Stay tuned now for the Ford wrap-up. And that'll come right after this game. A lot of big things happening. And of course, a reminder, Monday night, 8 o'clock, ESPN, Boise State, Virginia Tech. You don't want to miss that one.
So there's lessons every single week in college football, and especially early in the year. And for LSU, they learned a valuable lesson. If they're able to get out of here, and it looks like they will with a win. Up 30-10, they let go. They let off the accelerator. They didn't continue to attack, especially offensively. And their goal, last year they averaged 58 snaps a game. It was one of the worst offensive averages as far as plays per game in the country. Tonight, they've got 55 plays. And in the 2nd half, this offense has been awful. And you know what's good about that? You go home, you study your film, and you get ready to go in the next couple weeks to try to improve.
Well, we look ahead to Boise State. It's interesting that the writers have valued the Broncos more than the coaches have, and we will illustrate that for you. 2nd down and 5. Just power running now, and it'll be 3rd down coming up. So let's go show you the coaches poll, because remember this. It is the coaches poll which factors into the BCS. Boise State is not 3rd. They are 5th behind Florida and Texas. And Herbie, my question to you as the season rolls along, if Boise State survives Monday night, and that's certainly no given against Virginia Tech, what's your feeling about the coaches and their belief in Boise State?
I think that Boise State, if they do beat Virginia Tech, and they do knock off Oregon State in a couple weeks at home, then I think there's a chance they can move up. But I think the challenge that they're going to find with the coaches is that while they're playing the WAC against Nevada and Utah State and all these other teams, Louisiana Tech, and teams like LSU and Texas and Oklahoma are playing against the big boys, they can't just go through their conference and win in the fourth quarter. They have to dominate people. And if they do that, and if they get through the games you're talking about, I think they become a serious player in a discussion about being a team that could get to the top 2.
And TCU has now stepped it up a bit. And here comes Ridley. Fumble! Carolina's got a life. That fumble was picked up by Quan Sturdivant, who was cleared last night. And with 1:08 to go, a life.
Right. I cannot say enough about North Carolina and just not giving up tonight. Everything this team's been through, they're trying to get that football out. They're trying to go for the strip, attacking the football. They're able to do it. Sturdivant comes up with a big play. Now you have a situation where you get the ball back to an offense. You're out of timeouts. And Butch Davis realizes that, you know what? I've got a quarterback with some experience. I got potential playmakers on the outside. We can make this happen.
Jay Boyd. He's on the field. LSU's a running back. Joshua Adams. 4 receivers. And their talented tight end underneath. Out of timeouts. But 1:08 to work with. Snapping it off in underneath to Zach. They've got to keep it going. They can't stop it now.
I understand that he's had some success throwing to the tight end, but that's one where the clock keeps moving. You can't afford to make too many throws like that, either towards the sidelines or you got to get it downfield.
Yates coming to the right, throwing back complete. That'll stop the clock quickly. Near midfield now. That's Highsmith again.
Clock stops. Yates looking over to the sideline to try to get the call. Now he's going to convey that to the skill players. Remember, you're working with some inexperience on this offense, but the most experienced player that matters the most is TJ Yates.
Adams off to the left. Safeties are back deep. First down and a flag prior to the snap.
Ingersoll, the right tackle, moved 5 yards back.
Costly 5 yards.
Before the snap, false start, number 66 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
31 seconds to go. So there's your 2 coaches.
The play clock and the game clock are going. You got to snap the football.
Yates. Oh, what a great grab by Boyd again. What a receiver. Number 87. And he's lit up after the reception. That's a 21-yard gain. Injured player on the field. Clock is stopped.
Jai Eugene, the safety, the corner who's moved to safety with a big hit right there. And Boyd's able to focus on that football and somehow hold on to it. Major collision there.
The ball has been spotted at the 35-yard line, right near it. And this has been their big receiver here tonight, with Greg Little ineligible. So there have been only 2 touchdowns here, and they came in the fourth quarter from out of his own end zone. Boyd gets loose, and it's a 97-yard touchdown. Then they come back and they find Highsmith. And then the critical turnover that gave Carolina a life. Sturdivant banged out of bounds. 19 seconds, Herbie.
19 seconds to go. Boyd still down. No timeouts remaining. Very, very important couple things. Number one, as a quarterback, without any timeouts left, he can't take a sack. He's got to throw the football away, but they've got to be able to try to find ways to either get the football out of bounds, obviously, or at least pick up 10 yards on every pass from this point moving on. That way the clock can stop and give you a chance to get back to the line of scrimmage for a snap.
Can't say enough about the young men from North Carolina who came down here outgunned completely. I mean, 7 defensive starters, your entire secondary. They hang around. They hang around. They're without their top 2 running backs, their number 1 receiver, and TJ Yates. And this offensive line have hung in there. He'll come off after that jarring hit. And now Peterson will try to lock down on Joshua Adams. You can see number 7 at the bottom of your screen. Clock is moving. Yates fires, and Adams has got it. That's a first down. Clock is stopped. Joshua made another big play. Great. Maybe the best corner in the country for 20 yards.
That's all, no problem. Peterson looks like he might have a cramp of his own. It's a back shoulder fade, throwing it back away from Peterson. And I'll tell you, for a freshman, Adams does a good job of using his hands and then having the awareness to get out of bounds to stop this clock.
And he's gone for the critical play coming up. Medical attention for Peterson. He'll be off the field. 10 seconds to go. And Yates tonight against this defense has thrown for 403 yards. That's 403. This would be, if LSU were to give up a touchdown and lose this one, the most devastating loss that Les Miles has experienced at LSU against a team decimated by suspensions. And now here come the Tar Heels.
Chance for 2 plays here from Yates. Again, the experience is key here. Got to get the football thrown into the end zone once and give yourself another second chance here with 10 seconds to go.
Two safeties are standing back on the goal line. Yates snaps it quickly, and the tight end gets out of bounds. Pianalto stepped out of bounds. He's had a huge night. 8 catches, 75 yards, and given him a life by getting out of bounds with 6 seconds. They are now down to the 6-yard line.
LSU without the All-American corner Patrick Peterson. TJ Yates aware of that. He's got one corner, Mo Claiborne on one side, and a true freshman, Tyrann Mathieu, 14 right there. Adams at the bottom has had some success on the quick slant.
Yates looks the other way. High, incomplete. Went to the back of the end zone. And Pianalto was the intended receiver.
That is a matchup that he'll take every time. Pianalto 6'4", 250, showing the quickness. He's going up against Jai Eugene at 5'11". Ball thrown just behind him, but almost right there to be able to make the game-winning score.
Here we come. Final 2 seconds. Final snap of the game. Need a touchdown and the extra point to win it. This would be a huge upset. Yates waits. Time flashes. Incomplete. LSU wins it. No flag down there on the field. They didn't win it as much as they survived it, ladies and gentlemen. A gutty performance by the Tar Heels. They were down by 20 points at the half and closed to within 6 with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns.
We keep talking about it, but anybody who's followed this story with North Carolina, everybody, you heard people saying how they even have enough to dress for this game tonight. And they heard all of that on the outside. They came in with an us against the world mentality, and they gave it everything that they had. They left it out there on the field. It came down to the final play, and he's looking for the matchup that he feels most comfortable with. He's been going to him all night. Pianalto not able to hold on. And as you said, LSU didn't necessarily win this game. They survived.
That was very close to a flag down there also. I'm going to tell you that right now. And Aaron Andrews is with Les Miles. Aaron.
All right, Coach, you just told me you're doing fine, but as TJ Yates is moving North Carolina down the field, seconds ticking away, what are you thinking about?
Well, what I'm thinking about is if we finish the drive and we get the first down on, don't fumble the ball, the game's over. We're in victory formation. You know, we have to make sure we tie up those loose ends. We can't finish games as sloppily as we did that one.
What happened to the offense in the second half?
Well, we turned the ball over. When you turn the football over, it's a problem. And we got a little aggressive with our, we made a couple of mistakes at the quarterback spot in terms of penalties, and got a little sloppy in the second half.
And defensively, Les, why was North Carolina able to have success, though, in the second half?
Well, they got in there and they started hitting those slants and making it difficult on the perimeter, and they played well.
All right, thanks so much.
See ya.
I want one more look at this play. A linebacker against the tight end. And this is very, very close. Francois, 23, reaches over right there with his left hand.
I think that's what Yates was after. Yates saw that the ball fell to the ground. You can see him right there. He wants what you're talking about. He wants the pass interference call.
It was very, very close, and hats off to the Tar Heels. And LSU's got to go back to the drawing boards. 30 points in the first half, and they couldn't score a touchdown in the second half. But they win it. 30-24 our final, and Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's the All-State kickoff in the Capitol. Boise State takes on Virginia Tech at FedEx Field. Hey, thanks for watching ESPN on ABC, folks. Now we're going to take you to Times Square for the Ford wrap-up. And here is Robert Flores. Take it away, Robert.